Gamescom 2026. It's the biggest video game convention in the world, and IGN is here to bring you every second of it live from our Gamescom studio in Cologne, Germany. Tune in for brand new trailers and gameplay deep dives with the coolest games headed your way from Nintendo, Xbox, Square Enix, Sega, plus so much more. Day 2 of IGN's coverage of Gamescom 2026 starts right now.
Welcome to Gamescom Studio 2026. I'm Jane Douglas, here with Damon Hatfield and Max Scoville.
Gamescom is always massive, but this year's show is especially packed. And this is just day 2 of 5 days of Gamescom Studio we've got lined up.
And that's not even counting the Gamescom Awesome Indie Show 2026, which is happening at 8 p.m. Central European Time, so keep an eye out.
There are so many games being shown off, it can be hard to keep track of them all, so be sure to head over to the Gamescom Steam event page and add your favorites to your wish list.
We'll get to the games very soon, but first let's check in with Brian out on the Spotlight stage.
Thank you guys so much. As you can see, Gamescom is awesome and crazy. In just a bit, we'll check out what's going on with the Witcher 3 DLC. Then we'll see what's going on with Warlock. But next, it's time for Fable, a fantasy adventure I can't wait to play. But first, let's see what's going on out there on the show floor. Hey!
You're watching IGN's live coverage of Gamescom, the biggest and coolest gaming convention in the world. And up next, we'll be checking out Fable, The Witcher 3, and Warlock. All of that and more here at Gamescom.
Fable is shaping up to be one of 2027's biggest games, and here at Gamescom, we got to see a little more of it to hold us over until then. Here to tell me all about it, it's Ralph Fulton from Playground Games. Game director Ralph Fulton, how the hell are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing really well. How are you enjoying Gamescom so far?
Loving it, absolutely loving it. Been a while since I've been here, but yeah, back in the stride of things. It's really busy. It's frenetic, but it's lots of fun.
Good to be back.
Yeah.
So we're looking at combat specifically in Fable at the moment. A lot of emphasis on combat here at Gamescom. What can you tell us about what you're showing off?
No, I think almost with everything we've started working on in this game, we always go back and look at the original trilogy first, right? And that's not to say that we're remaking that game. This is kind of a reboot. We've been really clear about that. The other thing we always do is we look at what are the games that we aspire to be like, that we'd love to stand alongside in the current market, because obviously the original trilogy is like a couple of decades old now, right? So we look at both of those places and figure out where we want to go. Now, combat for us is one of the many things in Fable that we'd never done before as a studio, right? So there was a huge learning process there. We were able to hire in a bunch of folks who had done combat and a bunch of other games that we admired and really learn from them about it. But the root of the combat system, I think, in our game is still inspired by the philosophy of the original trilogy. That they were all about strength, skill, and will, which really was about the combination of melee weapons and ranged weapons and magical abilities, which are magical abilities being the thing that really sets heroes in Albion apart from the ordinary folks. So that philosophy is still there. What we've tried to do is really, I guess, bring it up to date. We want the player to be able to move between melee and ranged and magic seamlessly, fluidly, really simply and stylishly, I think, as well, so that you can really show off what being a hero is all about.
And for people who won't get to get their hands on it here at Gamescom, like how is that going to feel like vis-a-vis the original games, like sort of one button kind of emphasis, that very streamlined, simple kind of combat?
Yeah, so definitely not one button. That's not a place we've gone with this. Extremely difficult to do that and still maintain player agency, right? So being able to choose what it is that you're working, you're wanting to use at any given point. So as you can see here, this player is very easily and seamlessly combining magical spells and that repeater crossbow, which is kind of as close to a machine gun as you get in this kind of game, and then this massive hammer, which rounds out.
Hammer.
Everybody loves a massive hammer. So yeah, this is I guess a fairly powerful loadout that this player is running with. What we're actually doing behind closed doors, where we're giving people hands-on, is allowing them to play this, which is a segment of a quest, which is maybe sort of mid-game, I would say, probably start of the second act, with two different loadouts, just so they can feel what the loadout does to their options and how the combat feels. Because really we want the player to be the hero. They want to fight how they want to fight, and a lot of that is what melee weapon are you going to take, what ranged weapon are you going to take, and what 4 spells are you going to stick on your spell quad that you can see down the bottom right of the screen there.
I was looking at some gameplay earlier and I saw the magical blade spell.
Yes.
Personal favourite, I think, like iconic.
Iconic. We could not leave that out. We
Absolutely.
Felt. Yeah.
What kind of other spells can we expect, and what variety? Like how many spells? What kind of diversity of spells?
So. It's a good question, actually. I should probably have learned the numbers before I came on here. But I'll talk to you about the spells that we have here. You just saw lightning. That's on cooldown right now. We love lightning. We've actually included it in both of the loadouts in the hands-on. Just because it combines really well with other spells, like Suspend, for example, and it also looks super cool. When it's leveled up to its max, you get this great chain lightning effect that happens, super powerful. bags of fun in a sort of big enemy dungeon like this one. We also have Fireball, again, classic. Can't not have Fireball.
Can't not.
Yeah. That's, again, like all of our spells, you can level it up. So, you know, when you first get it, which is actually when your heroic powers emerge for the first time in childhood.
So it's your first spell?
It is the first thing that comes to you when you're in great peril and you're protecting your adoptive brother. It's a fireball that comes out. I don't know if that's ever happened to you. It didn't happen to me, but it happens to your character right at the start of the game. So that's one you have right from the start of the game. Actually, I noticed it's not equipped in this particular loadout, but we'll keep talking about it because it's fun. And then you can level it up, and obviously it increases in power and splash damage and what have you. But what we do have here is a push spell. So that's more of a crowd control spell. You're not going to do an enormous amount of damage with push, as you would expect, but if you're getting overwhelmed, it's a great way just to get these guys away from you, and if you're near a ledge, it's a super fun way to send them tumbling to their demise.
Yes, please, personal fave. How kind of class dependent? I know we're not talking classes in the kind of strict sense, but like, how fluidly can you move between these?
Very fluidly, and insofar as honestly we don't really observe classes or class distinctions in this game. Lots of RPGs do it. Nothing against that. You know, it can be a great thing.
Not for you though.
Not for us. Freedom being one of our sort of guiding principles, and allowing the player maximum freedom of choice. It felt like, let's not put guardrails in, let's not gate anything behind previous decisions. So you can pretty much equip the loadout that you want to at any point during the game.
Okay. How does that kind of marry to the skill tree in Fable? Like the kind of class freedom versus the kind of skill tree?
Absolutely. So really what you're doing is you're completing quests in the game, you're exploring the open world to gain skill points, to go into the skill point and unlock things. Not a revolutionary concept, I admit, but nevertheless something that works super effectively. We've employed it here. And then it's really about picking the spells or the skills or the abilities that you want, that complement how you want to go into a fight. Because really that skill tree is predominantly about how you're going to go and fight enemies, creatures, and what have you that you encounter through your heroic journey.
Okay, so I really love magic blades, and I just want to get to the end of that kind of branch and get the highest version of magic blades.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, cool. Can you respec your skill tree, and does that cost you?
You honestly don't need to, because we don't stop you earning, and we will allow you through play to earn everything in the skill tree, so you can just almost respec for free, I guess, is how it works.
Okay, so by the end of the game, you might just have literally everything in every branch of the entire skill tree.
And again, we went back and forth on that. There's something we had a lot of discussions about in the studio, and there was a camp who were very much into sort of consequence-based progression. You know, if you make a decision here, then that is going to put you on a path that you would need to respec and pay to move. But where we went ultimately is just in service of being the hero you want to be, allowing you maximum agency, maximum freedom of choice. That's the direction we've gone.
Okay, so like moving away from the idea that to have this, you're going to have to sacrifice this other thing.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. What are we looking at now? That was some lightning, I believe.
That was some lightning, and it was chaining around, and that was a perfect evade. So that, again, that's a skill that you can buy from the skill tree and become super effective if you're an evader rather than a blocker. And as we've worked in this game, we've found out that people are one or other.
Okay.
I love a bit of evading myself. So perfect evade is a great way of turning evade into a really devastating attack, which I'm sure we will see as we move forward. Again, they smash up good with this massive hammer. It is absolutely the right melee choice for this particular dungeon, which comes, as I said, like maybe sort of the start of the second act, kind of mid-game. And we're here with Humphrey the Golden, who you might remember from a showcase trailer we did not so long ago. We are on the hunt for Isabel, who we met in our June showcase trailer, played by the amazing Hayley Atwell.
None other, yes.
Oh, right, like starry-eyed. And she was brilliant. She plays our main antagonist. I won't say much more about what her role in the game is, but we are looking for her, and to get to her her flooded village, we are going through an equally flooded mine, which is populated with members of our undead family. we just shot a Wraith there. They are pesky because if you leave them unguarded, they're going to dive back into the ground and spawn a bunch more of these hollow folk.
Hate that. And these pips above the health bar.
Yeah.
What are these?
So these are ways for you to recharge your health. If you're
Okay.
getting low, you press up in the D-pad,
Got
you
you.
spend one of those just to bump it back up again. And health management is kind of part of the difficulty experience within our combat, our combat in the game. Oh, yep. So push off a ledge there, super effective.
Lovely.
And difficulty is another thing we're talking about this week. Again, the purpose of giving folks 2 runs of the same sort of dungeon is to allow them to bump up the difficulty and see how that affects you. We wanted to make sure that folks understand that you can bring your ability level to the game, and the game will be able to match you with varied difficulty levels. You know, so that's if you're a person who just wants the story, you know, isn't really interested in challenge, isn't interested in dying, and there are lots of people that are just there for the narrative. We have story mode. That's for you. But above that, there are then 3 difficulty levels going right the way up to Master, which Master will give you a really big challenge in terms of difficulty, and it's not for the faint-hearted.
Or maybe because if you're in it for the sort of life sim, social sim like stuff, then maybe that's the version of the game for you.
Exactly. You just want to cruise through the combat and not really worry about dying and not really worry about having to repeat because you want to get back to your multiple spouses or whatever you have. Yeah, that's probably for you.
All right, we're running low on time, but since you mentioned Hayley Atwell, when
Yes.
I think of Fable, I think of like iconic British actors. How does that casting process like work for you?
So we did as well, right?
Yeah.
And if you go back to those original games and you read through their cast list, it's a who's who.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. We felt like we had to do something similar, but with a more modern cast of British actors, British comedians, who we've been showing off a lot in a bunch of our trailers. Honestly, with someone like Hayley Atwell, and for the character of Isabel, we were just kind of like, okay, who's your dream cast?
Oh, so you like Blue Sky? You're
Totally,
like,
yeah.
If we could get anyone, who would it be?
And then when Hayley was interested, we were kind of not flat, and we spoke to her, and she was not massively into games, but super keen on Fable, super keen on the character that we presented to her, and she really brought just incredible discipline and professionalism to the role and to the performance capture process, and it was just a delight to work with.
Yeah, she's been very cool so far in what we've seen.
Yes.
So Ralph, thank you so much. We're running out of time here on the stage. Really looking forward to Fable coming in February next year.
February 23rd next year. Thank you for having me.
Indeed, thank you so much. All right, Fable hits Xbox Series, PC and PlayStation 5 on February the 23rd. Be sure to stick around for our hands-on impressions of the Fable demo here at Gamescom. That's up next, right here on Gamescom Studio.
I'm here on the Gamescom show floor with Simon Cardy.
Hello.
Who has done something that every Xbox player has been wishing they could do for what, 15, 16 years? And that is play a new Fable game. You've done it.
I've played a new Fable game. I have not only played a new quest from Fable that was combat heavy, I've seen the developers play a new quest from Fable that was more story-led and more kind of typical Fable. Should we start with the combat? Because that's kind of where the newer stuff is.
Yeah, absolutely. Because is it that different from sort of Fable 2, 3? Because they had a very strange sort of one-button Molyneux combat system. Is that gone?
Yes, this is very much a more modern combat system, I'd say. So I got to play even the same mission twice through with different loadouts, but both with the same primary weapon, which is like a big old like two-handed hammer, which I got to swing into some like skeleton creatures that had wraiths flying out of them. It also worked on the wraiths, so the physical damage works on ghosts. That is confirmed. There's a headline for you there. But I also had a bow and arrow, which was a great little ranged weapon to use, and it felt good too. It had really nice feedback on the triggers. It definitely didn't feel like that one-button combat, really simplistic combat we're used to in Fable. It felt more like a developed modern like action adventure should feel, which was really pleasing, because that was my kind of one question mark. I was kind of sold on the tone of this Fable and like the story it's trying to tell, but combat was a real question mark. And I also liked that it didn't, I haven't had this confirmed yet, but it didn't really seem like you have to like specialize in a class, or you still have all your spells, which if you hold on the right trigger, you can select one of 4 different spells.
Okay.
And so you can mix and match, and there's like great synergy I think you can achieve using those spells.
Okay. All right, so talking about the tone, I think being a completely new developer, a completely new team, I think originally there was a bit of skepticism as to whether they could capture that, but everything they've shown has really sort of shown that they actually can harness that, you know, that beautiful vibe.
I think Playground really get that, and I saw that kind of in both of the things I saw. So just briefly touching on combat again, one of the spells you could turn the enemies into a chicken. You kind of fable about chickens, and you can do different things with that chicken. So you can either just punt it, you can hit the chicken, classic. If you happen to turn one of those undead skeletons into a chicken, it will become an undead chicken. Then if you throw a fireball onto that chicken, it becomes a roast chicken. It's just silly. I like it. And Fable needs to be silly. Like, I'm not looking for a groundbreaking story. Maybe this will move me. Maybe I'll end up in a flood of tears. But I feel that's more likely through laughter than through any sort of real deep sadness when it comes to Albion.
You know, they kept doing all these sort of tone pieces that felt, you know, they were demonstrating. They're like, we get Fable. We're not just car people. We get, like, you know. But then they did the trailer with Hayley Atwell, and her trailer was very like sort of dark and bringing in that kind of more sinister side to Fable that's always kind of been there as well. So, but you saw a quest today where you had to help Humphrey deal with Slick Ronnie, but Slick Ronnie sounds like a euphemism, as all beautiful British names do.
It kind of sounds like a Lonely Island song, but it followed on from sort of the main quest, the outset of Fable. The establishing story moment that we know about is this Hayley Atwell villainess character called Isabel has gone to your home village and turned everyone to stone. So now you are the hero who has gone to Bowerstone, which is the capital of Albion, which looks absolutely beautiful, by the way. It looks stunning. Seeing it on that screen in like full motion on ultra settings looked absolutely gorgeous. And basically, you have to go to the Heroes Guild, which is where Humphrey the Golden is living. And he used to be a legend, right? But he's down on his luck. He's basically turned into an alcoholic. Basically, the first, this is a game full of choices, big and small choices, and the first choice you have is you basically walk into his home and he's like in a stupor, and he basically says, "Large beer." That's all he says. And you pick up a tankard from the sideboard and you have a choice. You're like, do we give him the drink or do you throw it over him to try and like rouse him? The devs chose to throw it over him. Unkind, but maybe, you know, maybe warranted. And basically I love that.
Maybe a bit of tough love.
Exactly. I love that in this game, basically, whenever you make like a choice, like on the side, it will like have like a plus or minus how someone feels about you. And all that popped up on the left-hand side of the screen was plus arsehole. So Humphrey at that point thought we were arsehole, but we had to go help him, and that led us to Slick Ronnie, who has basically won the deeds to the guild building in a gambling, I don't know what gambling match it was, I can't quite remember. But
gambling match.
Gambling match, one of those gambling matches. You know when you go one-on-one roulette with someone? But basically Humphrey's been careless of that, so we had to go and steal those from Slick Ronnie, whose lair is in a pub, and there's a bit of pick-locking, a bit of bribery that had to be done. So it's not all combat. It seems like you can maybe circumvent quite a bit of combat in this game by being charming or like scheming, which I really like, because although I found the combat really fluid and slick to use, I kind of do just I like in RPGs like this to talk my way out of as many holes as I can.
A lot of RPGs play beautifully when you throw all your points into speech and, you know, and you talk your way out of stuff, and that's often where the real juice is. Fable originally, like, you know, the classic trilogy, which is brilliant and I love it, but it is very like, go and kill this guy or go and batter something. So it's great to hear that it's got some of that, you know, much more kind of you've got some choices, you've got a bit of fluidity to how you can solve things. That's awesome.
I'm really looking forward to it now. I feel like it's one where I was already really looking forward to Fable, but as we said, I kind of had those initial doubts maybe of like, okay, it's a new studio, they've only, as you said, only done driving games before, like they're having to build combat from the ground, they've never done it before. They might have brought in people that may have helped with that, but like, it really is they've never really had to do combat before. They've had to really build it from the ground up, and I've kind of like, after playing it only for like half an hour or so and seeing this new quest, most of my fears have kind of been allayed. I'm now like really looking forward to this game.
That's kind of been the story of this whole project. You know, people really did think initially, like, are these really the right people to make this new Fable? And it seems like everything they've shown has been about breaking down those preconceptions everybody had and going, no, actually they get it. So it's great to hear that like the combat sounds fantastic, and we know the humor's there, we know everything else is there. So at this point, it's just a case of, you know, bring it out.
Yeah, can it sustain it over the course of, I don't know, 30 hours? I don't know. That's just a guess. I don't know how long the game's going to be. You suspect something like that. But yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And like in any Fable game, right, it's not even just about the quest and the story. Just even like walking around Bowerstone and just like there's over 30 businesses there which you can kind of take over in like in Fable games, like tattoo parlors, hairdressers, clothing shops. Like you can customize it all to your heart's content and have whatever family you want as well. It's you know, we were playing in the demo as a female hero who had a spouse called Elliot and a daughter called Daisy, and we went to their home and met them, and they seemed lovely. And you know what? I think the passion was still alive because, you know, we were walking away from the house, and Elliot, in the distance, you could hear him just go, "Oof, I'm glad I married all of that." So, you know, a level of charm there that really only I think the British can provide.
It's so wholesome, but also like a little bit cheeky with it. And
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's what you need. Yeah, it's come a long way from, you know, James Corden cameos, thankfully. But yeah, it just sounds like Fable. So yeah, I can't wait.
No, I'm very excited. Be excited.
Yeah, be excited. That's how we're finishing this. Be excited.
IGN's coverage of Gamescom 2026 is presented by Fable.
The average Cinefix movie list features nearly 100 different films and approximately 25 minutes worth of wall-to-wall deep dive analysis. To simulate that pace for this 30-second ad, we're featuring 26 different films, and before you say it, no, that math does not check out. We're not math people, we're movie people. We can't even count down from 10 without ending up at, like, 96. Subscribe to IGN Movies and TV for more Cinefix movie lists. Bad at math, great at movies.
Can't find that final collectible you're missing? IGN strategy guides and interactive maps are here to help.
One step at a time.
IGN guides are trusted by millions, easy to use, and best of all, free. IGN has the very best, most complete and accurate guides for Shadow of the Erdtree, Baldur's Gate 3, Tears of the Kingdom, and so much more.
See? It's good, right?
Every guide is tested and verified for you by experts. Just search for IGN when you search for guides.
IGN Plus is where your adventure begins.
What are you selling?
Plus is the place to get unlimited access to all the tools you need to beat your games.
Here's what you need to know for bringing down Gloomspawn.
Plus awesome exclusive discounts on IGN Store.
Maybe this would tease open your money pouch.
Plus ad-free browsing on IGN.com. Plus, unlimited game help tools like premium interactive maps with your own custom map markers, filters, marker notes, and more.
This will come in handy.
Plus, access to sweepstakes, giveaways, and free game keys.
Wow! Exactly.
Want more? Head to IGN.com/plus and start your adventure today.
The Witcher 4 might be a ways off, but fans will have plenty to keep them busy between a free enhanced remaster of The Witcher 3 next month and then a whole new expansion to that game coming next year. Here to tell us about it, level design lead Miles Tost and Geralt of Rivia himself, Doug Cockle. What's up? Welcome. Thank you for coming.
Hello, it's nice to be here.
Yeah, so you are, the CDPR is in everyone's good graces right now. It's just the big announcement that, hey, this game that 65 million people own, we're making it nicer for free and everyone can just have it. That's so cool. It's so bizarre to see that level of positivity around an announcement. Usually I feel like there's a lot of angry comments regardless of what anyone's doing. Is there a little detail in the laundry list of features you're adding in the enhanced remastered version that you didn't get a chance to shout out on stage last night?
Oh, that's a really good question, actually. I love that. So I get to kind of call it another baby. First off, I want to say, this is something we're not taking for granted, right? Like, we had some expectations for this being cool, but the response has been overwhelming. And we have a bit of a history, sort of, in trying to prove our goodwill and all of that stuff. So for us, it's like moments like these are amazing, absolutely incredible. What a privilege. And for the feature, I think one that I really like that was kind of mentioned in the trailer a bit, but I don't think we spotlighted enough, is transmog. I keep saying that it would be so cool for us to now come up with our own term to fashion Souls, but Witcher, whatever that might end up being.
No, that's a big one. People are definitely excited about that. Now, I honestly don't even want to spoil this. I just want to jump into that when that comes out. That's September 29th, is that right?
That's
it's
right.
Very close. Very nice. Not like I didn't have anything going on next month already in video games. Just
nothing.
Busy year.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Songs of the Past. This is a whole new expansion. It has been, 12 years since Blood and Wine. Where does this take place in relation to Geralt's previous adventures? And Doug, what's Geralt been doing all this time? Where has he been?
Well, as we know, he's been at Corvo Bianco, tending to his vineyards, drinking some fine Redanian red here and there, inviting guests to come and join him, Triss, Yen, Dandelion. He's been having a great time.
Seems like a good time. And I get the sense that Dandelion's in kind of a bad situation in this expansion. Is that right?
When is he not?
Yeah. So we're heading to his hometown though, and kind of seeing where he came from.
Yes, exactly. So in this expansion, we are stepping up as Geralt to once again help our best friend. It's almost like an iconic friendship, right? Between this how do we say it even in the demo? Like the silent type, the big silent type, and like the fun minstrel.
Yeah.
And this brings them to Letten, and Letten is Dandelion's homeland. It's a super, super cool new region, which is cool because it, like Toussaint, like Skellige, like Velen, it has its own unique identity, both in terms of landscape, culture, the demographics, and it's a super fascinating place that I think a lot of people will really, really enjoy to explore.
Nice. Now, Geralt's had a lot of adventures since the last time we saw him in a game. He had his own Netflix show. He got a new book. He got 2 anime movies. He got a stack of comics. He went from being kind of an esoteric figure to like a household name. Like, he's a big deal. Doug, how has this changed your approach to playing Geralt? Have you found that there's more pressure now that he's legendary? What's your outlook on that?
It hasn't really changed my approach at all. It's interesting that you say has it made more pressure. Yes, a little bit, because so many more people are aware, and I don't want to disappoint. I want to do what we've always done, and create the character that everybody loves, and I think that I will. But there's so many eyes on it now. There is a little bit of pressure, yeah.
Plus, we're sharing that pressure in the sense that we are opening this sort of new chapter, right, after doing Blood and Wine. And I think it's such a cool moment in terms of, how do you reason with that? That, is it really worth it to kind of open up Blood and Wine and go for one more? But I really think that we have this super cool story to tell, and I genuinely mean it when I say that we wouldn't be doing it if we didn't think we could do something cool.
Nice. In the time since Witcher 3 came out, a lot of people have played it and then replayed it and then probably replayed it again. And I know some people they're hesitant to do a whole new replay. They love it, but it's I want to see the new thing. Is there an option to sort of jump in midstream? I know with Phantom Liberty, you could basically skip the prologue and Act 1 of Cyberpunk and kind of just jump in there. Is there something like that for Songs of the Past?
Yes. Yeah, we had it with Hearts of Stone and Blood and Wine as well. So if you are coming back just for the expansion, there's an option to jump right into the game there. We will basically pre-create your Geralt, give you equipment, give you skill points and all of that stuff, so you will be right on your way.
Just off to the races. Doug, it's been almost 20 years since the first Witcher game. What was your first impression of this character? Because he was a relative unknown in English-speaking countries then.
Yeah.
What do you remember how he was pitched to you?
He was pitched to me as an emotionless monster hunter. And you're right, the books weren't out in English when we started recording Witcher 1, so I didn't have that resource. I had to rely entirely on CDPR to describe the world and the character. And they did a really good job of that. And we had character art and things like that that helped a lot with that. But yeah, he was. I think when I went to the audition, that he was just described as an emotionless monster hunter with a gravelly voice, and that's where it started.
Has your impression of him changed since then? Like, I feel like I don't.
yeah.
I feel like Geralt might be emotionless. He just seems. I want to hang out with the guy. You know?
Yeah,
Like, he seems pretty chill. I don't know.
Yeah, especially if they're drowners hanging around the pool. You know, yeah. My impression of him has changed a lot, and I think that's from time with him, and also because the writers at CDPR have learned more about him and have made decisions that have given me more to cling on to as well. If you play through all the games, Witcher 1 to Blood and Wine, you'll notice that Geralt has more and more of an emotional life, and he becomes more complex. And that's really exciting, and we'll see where the next one takes us.
Neat. Now, speaking of Witcher 1, he's finally getting the silver chain in the new expansion. This is a weapon that he had in the very first cutscene and in one of the very first short stories, but it's never actually been playable until now. Doug, a lot of people were looking at this and they're like, this looks like Mortal Kombat. Could you possibly give me Geralt's rendition of "Get over here"? Like, how would he deliver that in the heat of battle while like throwing that chain out?
Get over here.
Yes.
Can we just capture that again and just put it in?
Yeah,
it
I
feels
love
like,
that.
yeah.
This is awesome. So having weaponry from sort of his earlier career, is there a possibility that's going to pop up again in the Witcher 1 remake that was announced in 2022? Is there anything you can say about that?
That's a nice trick question. I see our PR handlers getting very nervous over there right now. No, we don't talk about that.
Fair enough. No, I get that. But no, in terms of stuff you have announced that's upcoming things, does the new expansion tie into The Witcher 4 at all? Like, is it... I mean, obviously, it's good to refamiliarize people with this world jumping in there, but would you see this as more of like an extension of Geralt's story, or is it almost a prologue type thing, or is it just is it sort of somewhere in the middle?
Mm-hmm. It's definitely an extension of Geralt's story. Like, this was the initial concept that we even had like a few years ago. The idea that we want to create, or we have one more story to tell for Geralt before we pass on the torch to Ciri. And this is also how we're kind of viewing this expansion in general. It's very much Geralt front and center, and everything else we'll have to see.
Okay, yeah, I don't want to spoil too much. Going back to the enhanced remaster, the many features you've got in there, you know that there's changes to combat, there's changes to traversal. How do you incorporate that stuff without sort of breaking the game? Because it's all kind of, it's all a house of cards there.
So the truthful answer to that is you don't. So, if this was what it was, then, it would be super easy to make this stuff. But like, the reality is that there's a lot of awesome people, a lot of teams involved who are working to make this happen, and they're really pouring all of their energy and hearts into this. And the fact is that if you open like these working systems to completely rework them, add new animations and all of that stuff, and in part also in the case of ray tracing, adding new tech to the engine, right, on top of what exists, it's bound to break something. But the part of the process is also that we will work with that and we'll go through it and eventually release it.
It's fascinating to see. Doug, did you do any new recording for this, or is that just for the expansion stuff?
For the remaster.
Remaster, yeah.
No, I don't think so. I think that's all technical stuff, so that there's no new performances that I'm aware of anyways.
You're keeping busy with new adventures elsewhere.
Oh, yeah.
I'm very excited to see this stuff come through. One last question. What's going on with the Switch 2 version? Is that happening? Is there like a Switch 2? Yeah.
Yes. So we're both we're doing something super cool new for us. We're doing both Battle.net now and the Switch 2 version. And from my understanding, I'm not fully correct on this. I believe that the Switch 2 version is the upgraded version of the Switch, right? Yeah. So essentially, if you have the Switch base game version, you will get the Switch 2 version. If you have a Switch 2, right? We won't give you a Switch 2. But if you have, it's basically like with all the other versions of the game. If you have a base game version of it, you will get an upgrade for it. Yeah.
And you get the upgrade if you have the physical version too, for
Yes, I think it's a download essentially. Yeah.
I feel like people are so used to being skeptical about announcements. They're like, what do I have to do? And it's like you just get it. You get the thing. It's like
That
Oprah,
is-
look under your
yeah.
chair. It's free. Have fun.
Yeah. That's what made it so fun to announce that also.
Yeah, no, it's great. Thank you both so much for coming by. Doug, thank you for countless hours of, I guess, companionship. It's such a treat to meet Geralt in person. I didn't expect you to be
such a blessing to be Geralt in person.
Yeah, no, that's a
Thank you for
pretty
that.
cool
by the way.
role.
It is truly a privilege.
You guys are clearly keeping very busy over at CDPR, and I'm excited to see what you do next. Yeah, Songs of the Past coming to consoles and PC in 2027, but The Witcher 3 Remastered drops September 29th, and right now there's more Gamescom Studio coming up on IGN. Stick around.
Do you want to be the very best like no one ever was? Streamline your journey to becoming a master trainer with Planet Pokemon. Choose your Pokemon, filtering by type, stats, or game availability. Then use the full team builder to assemble an unbeatable lineup. Plan out the optimal set of moves, items, and abilities. Plan your dream team today at planetpokemon.com.
Catch up on all your favorite shows with up-to-the-minute gaming and entertainment news with Geek Media Podcasts.
Welcome to a very special episode of IGN Game Scoop.
Game Scoop has you covered for all things gaming and the latest game releases. Tune into Podcast Beyond for the biggest PlayStation news.
Man, this is a cool looking trailer.
Everything Xbox on Podcasts Unlocked.
This is Steve Downs, the voice of Master Chief.
Catch up with your Super Nintendos on Nintendo Voice Chat.
Let the kids love what we love.
And get all the latest console news and rumors with Next Gen Console Watch.
Now Xbox and Phil Spencer are even saying that a mid-gen refresh isn't even necessary.
The Cinefix Top 100 podcast picks a movie every week to celebrate and debate.
It's kind of every movie's grandpa.
Geek Media Podcasts, the best podcasts from around the world.
Can't find that final collectible you're missing? IGN strategy guides and interactive maps are here to help.
One step at a time.
IGN guides are trusted by millions, easy to use, and best of all, free. You can even track your progress with interactive checklists so you know you reached that 100% completion.
I will not suffer.
IGN has the very best, most complete and accurate guides for Shadow of the Erdtree, Baldur's Gate 3, Tears of the Kingdom, and so much more. Just search for IGN when you search for guides.
Warlock is a brand new open-world action-adventure set in the realm of Dungeons & Dragons. Here to tell us about it, Dominic Gay from Invoke Studios. Welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Dude, your game looks sick.
Thank you.
It's always nice to get like a big reveal of gameplay like that.
Yeah.
And kind of really seeing a game in action and get a sense of like what you're doing. You had big, huge CG trailer last year. And it's nice to kind of let the cat out of the bag. The thing that jumped out at me right away is just how tactile this all looks. Which is kind of what you want from a D&D game. We're used to D&D being very turn-based, but also rewarding player creativity. Can you tell me a little bit about, I guess, some of the systems and mechanics that you're incorporating and how that really allows for imaginative play?
Yeah, the game's really centered around making creative use of magic, so that was kind of the center for us. We wanted the player to be able to experiment with spells in real time, spells that maybe some players have used turn-based before at the tabletop. So that's the whole purpose of the game, and the center of it, making use of these spells both to explore the open world, to solve mysteries, but also in combat, obviously, always in combination with the character's weapon master abilities.
Which was the hardest spell to, I guess, put into a real-time setting?
I wouldn't say one was worse than another. Every time we design a spell, one of the ways we challenge ourselves is to think of how they could be useful in multiple contexts. And we're also thinking of how players could combine these spells and use them smartly in the environment to almost break the game in a way, find their own solutions to problems. You saw how we burned that bramble and then we could gather some water, put it off. So underneath there's a lot of systems running and we just build spells on top and let the player loose with them.
No, I love that kind of sandbox. I get the sense that is there like a dash of Metroidvania in there? Like if there's spells you don't know, is there stuff you couldn't go do?
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective. In a way, yes, but not in a binary way like a Metroidvania. So as you gain new powers, new spells, it lets you get your reach in the open world to be broader and broader, reach new places, find secrets. So definitely you want to grow in power to get to find all the secrets in our setting. It is a fully open world game, but we're thinking about it in an exploration driven way. We want the player to go out there and not just follow a waypoint, but really engage with the world. And like you see here, right, you're investigating a trace on the ground, and through that you'll organically unlock a side quest basically.
Cool. And are there I mean, there are dungeons. It's a Dungeons & Dragons game.
Yeah,
there's a dungeon right there.
You
I can
have
see
to,
it.
right, yeah.
I guess in terms of how the world's structured, do you kind of just get spat out in the middle of it and you can go any direction? Is it really just fully like open from the jump?
It's fully open. So at the beginning of the game, you're thrown into this weird setting that's called Darkon, and it's a domain of dread on the brink. There's a lot of chaos going on in there. There's a power vacuum. And it's almost an apocalyptic setting. There's mists all around, normally preventing people from going in and out, and these mists are kind of going into the land and reshaping it. So the player needs to figure out what's going on in Darkon with the main character, and the world's fully open. So you got a map, there's fog of war, you'll need to go out there, you'll need to explore and reveal what's hidden inside of the world.
I like to hear this. So in D&D, picking a class is a big deal. You picked one. It's a warlock.
Yeah.
What's for people who aren't as well versed, what's the big deal about warlocks and why does it make the most sense?
So a warlock is a magic user that get their spells through a pact with a powerful patron. So in our case, Katri, our main character, made a pact with Tasha, a very dangerous witch queen that's really hard to read and has her own agenda. So you're getting in bed with someone that's probably gonna have to force a price on that power she's giving you.
We get a glimpse of sort of like a table where some kind of stuff is being performed. What's that?
Yeah, so some of our spells are called rituals, and they take a little bit more time to cast, and they require components that you find in the open world. But they also allow us to create spells that are even more powerful and lets you set things up. You'll see later on where we'll use one that basically calls rain, the downpour. And then you can use this in various ways to put out fires, but also in the way we use it here in the demo, we synergize with a spell called Witch Bolts. You all have those enemies now covered in water, you have puddles around, and so you can use that to have greater power with your Witch Bolt.
So we see a bit of, fire, water, a bit of electricity. Is there like ice, poison, that kind of stuff too in there?
Yeah, we got a lot of. We didn't go for ice, but there's a lot of systems, and even wind. Right, we got in this spell gust of wind. So we build this spell up because we have a wind system. So then you can affect. There's clouds, toxic clouds, then you can affect them with your spells. How can you use this? How can you defeat certain monsters with that? How can it help you reach new places? So even a spell like Gust of Wind allows those kinds of things.
You've also got plenty of just sword and board combat here too, yeah?
Yeah, so fundamentally, you'll use your spells to set up enemies, put yourself at an advantage to do critical attacks generally, but then you're going in with your weapons too. So at any time, you got 2 weapons equipped, you can find new ones, you can upgrade these weapons. So in the demo, you'll see we're using a warhammer and a sword. And really the player gets in there too. And she used to be a weapon master before she got those spells, before she became a warlock. And you mix those 2 sides of her background.
Okay, so we got a ritual going on right here.
Exactly.
What's happening exactly?
Yeah, exactly. So she's pouring those ingredients that she either purchased or found in the environment, in the world, and now that downpour I mentioned before starts. And now we're going to be using witch bolts, and you're going to see how efficient it is. It wouldn't be quite as efficient as this if the enemies weren't covered in water, if there wasn't puddles around. You can see the electricity is zapping to some of the iron elements in the environment, so we're trying to have these elements really make sense for the player to make plans and play with.
The ritual, because it is that in place of a menu, basically? Was that like a deliberate choice to have something?
Yeah, that's a good point. So all of our spells are directly available in the controller at all times. So you don't have like a selection wheel when you want to do all of the other spells, except for ritual, where we can have an actual menu where you find new rituals. We can have a lot of them, and they're added to the options that you have when you start doing a ritual.
What does progression look like? Because we're seeing like little bits of, is that XP, rune, soul, something like that flying off of dead enemies there?
Yeah, there's a couple of different axes on which you can become more powerful, but obviously this is based in spirit on Dungeons & Dragons, so getting stronger is an important part of that. So a lot of our progression is going to be around magic. So you'll find a lot of spells. For that, you're going to have to explore the world. So they're out there. It's up to you to find them. We're going to give you tools to help you out, but you're going to have to be curious. You're going to have to explore the world. You can also upgrade and tailor all of the spells. So it's kind of like you have a skill tree per spell that you can find. You can have new gears, new kinds of equipments. You can upgrade those. You can level up. So there's a lot of axes in which you can become more powerful.
The way it's structured is, I mean, it's an action adventure, but you've got role-playing elements. You got to have that. Is there a way where people could basically craft different builds? Is it kind of lean into different things?
So you're always going to be a warlock, right? So of
yeah.
course we're not going to let you go out of that class, but we want you to be able to tailor your cat tree to your preference. So first, obviously, cosmetic parts, so you can find various armor sets, and she can look vastly different based on what you decide to equip. But then, yeah, we want, like, the way we thought about our gear is more trait-based than just stats. So you can be making plans with those traits to synergize maybe with your go-to spells or the plans you have, or maybe you're like, oh, I'm facing these enemies which are maybe fire-based. I'm going to be using these equipments that give me resistance. So you can make plans that definitely build up your build of Katri.
Sweet. Now, what's Katri and Tasha's relationship like? How do they engage with each
There's tension there for sure. Like, Katri has her own quest. She's looking for someone she cares for, and that's all her mind is set on that. But obviously, Tasha has her own agenda. And Katri didn't completely understand the price she might be paying by getting in bed with her and accepting this pact that she made. And so there's definitely tension as you go through the game, as you go through the story. More and more of Tasha's agenda is going to get unveiled. And there's an interesting kind of arc to this for us to play with.
I like that. No, so Katri's an original character, right? Like brand new?
Yeah, absolutely.
But Tasha's been around for a cool minute.
Yeah,
she's
for
like
a long time.
Gary Gygax creation.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, for sure. Like, she's legendary within the universe.
How much are you kind of pulling from existing lore versus kind of crafting your own version of her?
Oh, we're definitely pulling from the lore. I mean, some of it is deep cuts, but it's super inspiring for the team. So we're going to tap in her story, her background. She's lived multiple lives. She's been in different dimensions of Dungeons and Dragons, so she's seen a lot, and that's something we love because it gives us a lot of options for stories to tell.
Nice. What are we looking at in terms of side quests, or I guess bonus objectives?
Yeah, we call them mysteries. They're really, you can think about them as side quests. So a lot of them we try to ground them in the world, so they let you find more about the lore of the Archon, what's going there, what's happening there, how are people living, the problems they're dealing with. And Katri's there for our own quest, but we want to let the player decide what they're interested in. So we're not forcing side quests on you. You're going to find a bunch of them, and you decide which ones you want to pursue. And obviously, some you might do it for like just your own sake because you want to get potential treasure, or you hear about potential artifacts that you're interested in. If you're, as a player, you want to help people out, there's going to be those kinds of side quests too. The way the game is structured, it's really about players' choices to decide what they want to engage in.
Nice. Now we're circling back.
Yeah.
We're about to go back in the dungeon.
Yeah.
There's a beholder down there.
It's a death kiss.
Death kiss.
There's a nuance to it, but it's close.
Fake nerd here.
But
in terms of bestiary and monsters and stuff, how do you what are you picking in there?
For us that was great, right?
Yeah.
And one of the reasons we chose that setting is basically it allowed us to pick from any of the monster types from the D&D monster books. So we went crazy. We had a lot of fun picking these monsters out. At the same time, Katri is not like godlike. Like there's a limit to the type of monsters she could deal with. We wanted to make an immersive single-player game, so we can't have you facing a horde of dragons. So we were smart in picking things that make sense for one character to deal with. But we had a lot of fun. So there's a lot of variety for you to discover and fight in there.
Do you consider that a boss fight or a mini boss or just a big enemy?
That's just a big enemy in there. Like he's tough. So at this point in the game, if you look at the progression for Katri, she's somewhere mid-game. We would be able to deal with that character, but we actually had fun in avoiding the fight in this sequence because we also wanted to show that it was a valid strategy to not engage and to use your spells to get out if you wanted to. Again, that's players' choices.
Now, what's some creative magic use you've seen in combat that hasn't been showcased in this gameplay? Because I always love when people do like weird loopholes, like crate stacking, that kind of thing.
And that's the whole point of our magic system. So when we play test the game with players, sometimes we see them doing things that we even haven't thought about doing. And I don't want to. We're going to show a lot of these, and we're going to show some crazy stuff along the way. But like, for example, you saw that there's a levitate spell, and you can just put an enemy up and, kind of crowd control them. But then I saw recently as one of our testers, he took like a big rock up, and then when one of our enemy went underneath, he just canceled the spell and dropped it on his head. I was like, this is not going to work. But it actually worked pretty well. So these are the kind of things that player can think about and do if they want to try it out.
I love to hear it. Now, the last big D&D game, obviously Baldur's Gate 3,
Yeah.
different kind of game. Most people, if they even finished it, it took them more than 100 hours.
Yeah.
How long of a playthrough are we looking at here? What kind
It's a tough question to answer, I'll be honest with you. We're still, nailing down how we're balancing the game, and that's going to have a big impact. But it's a big game. Like, it's an open world game. We know these games always are longer to play through, but we don't want to have like one of these daunting multiple hundreds of hour game. This is not that type of game. We wanted to create a denser open world where things were closer by if you explored, but it's still like tens of hours, and you're going to have plenty to play through for sure.
Nice. And how close are we to release here?
Well, next year. We
year.
still have a bit of work ahead of us, but we're feeling good. So next year, this is going to ship for sure.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming
Thank
by.
you. Thanks for having me.
Warlock is coming to consoles and PC sometime in 2027, but stick around because there's more Gamescom Studio 2026 right here on IGN.
IGN Store has everything you need to level up your life.
Red 6 standing by.
Refresh your wardrobe with official gear you won't find anywhere else. From Fallout, Expedition 33, Romeo's a Dead Man, and more. Treat yourself to the coolest collectibles like an adorable SKA plush, your very own Assassin's Creed Hidden Blade, and a fully functional Pip-Boy 3000. Or kick back and relax to your favorite video game soundtracks on vinyl. Whatever you need, IGN Store has you covered. Head to store.ign.com and start shopping today.
Can't find that final collectible you're missing? IGN strategy guides and interactive maps are here to help.
One step at a time.
IGN guides are trusted by millions, easy to use, and best of all, free. IGN has the very best, most complete and accurate guides for Shadow of the Erdtree, Baldur's Gate 3, Tears of the Kingdom, Call of Duty Black Ops 6 Zombies, and so much more.
See? It's good, right?
Every guide is tested and verified for you by experts. Just search for IGN when you search for guides.
Do you want to be the very best like no one ever was? Streamline your journey to becoming a master trainer with Planet Pokemon. Choose your Pokemon, filtering by type, stats, or game availability. Then use the full team builder to assemble an unbeatable lineup. Plan out the optimal set of moves, items, and abilities. Play to your strengths by analyzing your team's resistances and offensive coverage. Or really maximize your Poke potential by digging into the stats by adjusting EVs and IVs. And save multiple team builds for different strategies in different games. Plan your dream team today at planetpokemon.com.
Welcome to the biggest gaming playground in the world, where 500,000 people come together to play, connect, and celebrate across Cologne. 1,600 exhibitors. The biggest names in the gaming industry, bringing countless games for you to explore and dominate. Get set for Gamescom's unique indie area, where you're in control of the most creative and unique projects from more than 400 indie studios. And if that's not enough, don't miss Gamescom Awesome Indie Show, our show produced by IGN featuring the hottest new titles from the indie universe. Or become the hero yourself and step into the Gamescom cosplay contest, bringing cosplayers and fans together from around the globe for an unforgettable community experience. Can't make it to Gamescom in person? Visit our website, gamescom.global, and experience all program highlights via our content hub, Gamescom Now. The experts at IGN are gearing up to bring you full days of live streams straight to Twitch and YouTube. Oh, hey, Epi! Crashing the party? Jump into Gamescom Epics on our website and claim your loot. Next up, Gamescom Cares. our initiative for a safer, more sustainable, and inclusive Gamescom. Speaking of inclusive, the Gamescom City Festival is taking over the city with live music for free and all kinds of fun. Gamescom is more than a single event, it's a global family. With Gamescom Dev, Gamescom LAN, Gamescom Asia, and Gamescom LATAM, we're unlocking dynamic experiences and connecting gamers worldwide. Welcome to the heart of gaming. Welcome to Gamescom.
Hi, it's Maria here on the show floor for Gamescom, one of the largest gaming conventions in the world. And coming up shortly, we'll be checking out Chronicles Medieval, Soulframe, plus we'll be taking a closer look at Alien Deathstorm and Dune Awakening.
Dune Awakening has been out on PC for over a year now, but next month it is making its way to consoles, and along with it, a much-requested single-player campaign. Here to tell me about it, creative director Joel Bylas. How you doing?
Yeah,
How you doing? I had to, sorry.
Oh, dear. No, that works. It's great. Yeah, how are you?
I'm good. It feels like just yesterday I was out here talking to you guys about the, just post-launch. You launched on PC, and now you're bringing this thing to consoles.
Yep.
I'm curious, what kind of accommodations are you making for the console crowd? What kind of lessons have you learned from the game being on PC this long that you're sort of applying to this next push here?
Oh, it's a laundry list, but I guess the big highlights are single-player mode. Very important, both for console and PC. It's been a much requested feature. So yeah, the console version has that, obviously. With single player mode comes adjustments along the way with balance, because obviously the game was built with the idea that as you progress, you join groups and get into bigger groups and become parts of guilds. So we've rebalanced sort of the end game in the single player mode for people to be able to play solo. The game comes with kind of a creative mode. You can go in, you can change a lot of the settings, just like in Conan Exiles, change the server settings, make enemies harder, easier, survival harder, easier, gathering more mats, you know, all the things that you'd expect. So it's a fully customizable experience now for people. So that's the sort of single player mode, and then there's of course consoles, controllers, haptics, you know.
Nice. This is going to have the final chapter of the book 1 story. What does that mean? What can we expect there?
Right. So the game begins with a question. You know, you get sent to the planet and you're told, find the Fremen, wake the sleeper. And by the end of book 1, you'll have done both of those things. And that's kind of we're wrapping up the main storyline from the first book and introducing, you know, the beginning of what comes next.
Cool. I mean, the Dune books infamously get increasingly weird as they go. Do you guys have like a, you know, long-term plan, like a big, you know, big crazy, you know, bulletin board planning things out?
Yeah, when we started on the project, it was basically we want to have a life cycle of about 10 years for this game minimum, right? So I planned a narrative that stretches across 10 years. So there is a 10-year plan for this. And we'll see how much of it we get to actually do, but at least book 1 should end in a way that makes people very happy and satisfied and hopefully excited for what's coming next. And yes, weirdness is
good,
a huge part of the future.
That's what we need. More weirdness. Dune gets weird. Now, I know, like, sort of one thing ongoing is, you know, you announced this, it was big emphasis on the MMO side of things, but also survival, and I feel like post-launch, I've seen chatter about how it's kind of gone in a more survival direction. Obviously, some people approach it wanting an MMO, some people want a survival game. How do you, I guess, accommodate both of those? How do you find a balance between the two, and then also incorporate single player, which is an entirely other philosophy there?
Yeah, I think MMO was kind of more describing how the multiplayer server structure of the game works, because it's something that I think hasn't really been done in the survival space. The fact that you have this overland map, you can go to lots of different maps in the world, and you're playing with lots and lots of other people on a server, up to hundreds of people on some of the big deep desert maps, right? So we were trying to describe the kind of technology behind it rather than actually describing the gameplay, which was far less like an MMORPG like World of Warcraft. It was much more of a survival game. So the pivot away from that is more like, it's a survival game. We know it's a survival game at its core. You can play online and join up with friends, and now you can play alone, right? But it's still that survival experience. So people who want to just play a cool Dune game with a single player storyline and play through and enjoy that, they can. And you can, as we mentioned, tune the difficulty to make it easier if you know. So I think like we're just trying to accommodate as many players as possible, giving them options in how they approach the experience.
Now, let's say you get, you know, a player who's done a bunch of stuff on the PC version, and they jump into a fresh file, they roll a new character on consoles. What's waiting for them that's going to kind of be like, oh, this is different? Like, what does the sort of the, you know, step 1 look like?
Yeah, I think the first thing is we have this new character-centric experience, right? So the game doesn't really care anymore about like the old sort of style is like you load in, you choose a server. Now you just load in, the game takes you straight in, you say multiplayer, single player, choose, and then you just start playing. Create a character, you're in the game, your characters are lined up in this carousel at the start, so you can always see what character you're loading in to the game. And then when you get into the game and it plays out, you start with this little single player opening experience we call the new player experience. Then you get into the game. I think the first thing anyone playing on, say, PlayStation 5 is going to notice is the haptics on the controller. Like we took an approach to making sure we built in interesting uses for adaptive triggers and things like that. So, you know, when you slow blade someone, you really feel that blade sliding through.
What about walking and trying not to attract the worm?
Yep.
You know, walk without rhythm,
vibration,
as they say.
Yeah.
So you got a whole thing with that too?
Yeah, exactly. When you go out on the sand and you've got the, you know, both the Xbox and PlayStation controller, you feel your footsteps. And then when the worm comes, you feel it. And you know exactly where it's coming from because it's directional as well. So it's really cool.
All right.
Yeah.
That's cool. There's a whole new Dune movie coming out. Do you, obviously this is a separate universe and all that. Do you have any content lined up to sort of coincide with that, or is this just a whole other thing?
No, I think the movie's coming out later in the year, and we're hitting a big update with the polar caps of Arrakis, a never before seen part of Arrakis. It's mentioned in the books, but it's never shown, and it's not in the films either. So it is going to be a really cool new adventure playfield in the game for people to explore. It reignites the survival experience of the game with the new survival setup as well. And that's going to come out later this year as well. So coinciding around the movie, yes, and giving people a bunch of things to do, new things.
Sweet. What's the most requested thing that you've seen from the community that you're still working on? Like, what's the thing? Yeah, obviously, you just get single player, and I'm like, yeah, what else you got? But like, what is there anything that you're like, yes, we hear you, we're working on it, that you want to kind of get out there?
Yeah, actually, funny, I've been talking about that a little bit with people. People are asking for lots of different things. One of the big requests I see from people a lot is the companion system from Conan Exiles, the thrall system, like being able to bring people with you on adventures. So people have been asking a lot about that. So yeah, that's something that I'm thinking about, and there's been a lot of things like that along the way.
You got a big, huge, 10-year long-term plan for this. Has anything that people have been like, we want this? Has anything that made you go and like, well, I guess we got to change this around, or we got to kind of adjust that? What is that process like?
I mean, it's fine, right? Because it's an on-paper plan. No plan survives first contact with the players, as we say. So it's fine. So I've had, for example, I think people requesting a lot more variety in the game, like wanting more visual variety because it's a desert, and so the polar caps, is one of the big features for that. But then people want to go off-world. We're looking at maybe other planets, how that can go in the future, right? So it's just looking at the plan and saying, where does this particular slice move, and narrative can adjust to that. It's just writing at this point, so it's easy.
Tell me about the polar caps. Is there snow up there, or is it just more desert?
Well, there's no precipitation on Arrakis,
yeah,
right?
So, I was going to say.
So, but you do have this thing called the El Sayal, which is the rain of sand, when a sandstorm sweeps up into the sky and the sand slowly falls down. And so at the polar caps, we have a sandstorm that becomes incredibly cold, and it comes down and creates an atmosphere of extreme cold in the areas on the northern parts of Arrakis. So, and
that adds a whole new wrinkle to survival.
A whole layer of survival there. People will need to think about how heat and things work out.
Now, for first-time players who are jumping in on console, this is the kind of game you can sink 1,000+ hours into. What is the general turnaround to just experience the single-player stuff if you wanted to just jump in? How big of a game are we looking at here?
I mean, our average Steam review time is at 210 hours. That's our average played time. But I think you can safely experience, especially if you change some of the sliders to make it a little easier in single player or whatever, I think you can safely experience the game in about 50 to 80 hours.
Okay, that's reasonable. It's a good amount of time.
And then you've kind of seen everything, and then whether you want to go deeper in any of the features is kind of up to you.
Have you seen one of the classes, one of the character builds you can go towards like a clear winner above all else, or is it sort of evenly distributed there?
I think it changes when we change balance, right? So especially, I think the PvP crowd is very interested in, like melee was less. It shouldn't be worse than ranged. In June, in particular, people were quite mad because there was a patch that nerfed melee too much. And then we've been adjusting those things back. We've changed a little bit the way stamina works. So no, I haven't. I think people who are playing more solo or single player, or not playing in large groups, or are just doing PvE content, they basically choose their preferred builds. There are builds that do better in AoE mob situations where there's a lot of enemies. Builds that do better one-on-one. So it's kind of been okay, but yeah, the balance. It's like with all these online games, we tweak a little bit. Suddenly the new meta, and then we change again, the new meta. So
no matter which direction you turn it, someone's going to get mad at you about it.
I mean,
someone else will get excited though.
The way I see it, I think the old MMO approach to this was always never nerf anybody, just make someone else's class slightly better, and then make the other class better again, and then make the other class better again, and just keep going forwards, never backwards.
Nice. Any tips for first-time players jumping in now?
Well, I mean, my tip is always pay attention to worm sign. If the worm eats you, you lose all your stuff.
Don't do that.
It's the only thing in the game.
Don't get eaten by that should just be on the instructions for a Dune game. Don't get eaten by worm. That's bad.
Pretty much.
Don't do that.
So that's the first one, and then I just pay attention to the sun and hydration, and make sure you've got water, and build yourself a shelter as soon as possible, and get yourself a sand bike and get out there.
Hell yeah. Well, Joel, thank you so much for coming by and chatting. I imagine we'll be talking a year from now, too. Dune Awakening is out now for PC, and on September 22nd, Xbox Series and PS5 owners can get in on the action, but right now there's more Gamescom Studio coming up. Stick around.
I'm standing in the one place you definitely don't want to make a sound unless you like getting up close and personal with a xenomorph. I'm Maria, and I'm here joined by Anna Sopikova, the art director of Alien Isolation 2, to find out how they're planning to terrorize players even more with the second game. How have you been finding Gamescom so far?
Oh my god, amazing. It's just so cool to see for the first time real players coming in to play our game. And already the queue is massive. I did not expect it to be that busy. But I think for us it's just so exciting, unbelievable.
So Alien Isolation was a very claustrophobic experience. What were the challenges of bringing it to a more open world? What were you planning on doing with that?
I mean, for us, it's a mixture, and we like to play on this mixture of the old and the new, because obviously the claustrophobic interiors that people loved from the first game, they're still there, and they're not going anywhere. But now with exteriors, we have all sorts of opportunities to kind of really expand and build upon it. So obviously with the weather, being what it is, it's not really, you don't want to take a summer vacation here, I wouldn't recommend.
Yeah.
But you know, we got the wind, the fog, the rain, and it's all coming in, and how will you survive? How will you adapt and survive to these conditions? When the fog comes in and you can't see like 2 meters in front of you, and then the rain starts and you can't hear the alien's footsteps. So it's just taken all these elements and bringing them in together with the alien being unscripted and as terrified as it ever was. And that kind of for us is the secret sauce for the exteriors and the sequel.
I'm actually already terrified. The first game was so scary to me. So now there's a lot more elements that you have to kind of like be aware of. And with that, I was wondering, now that we're being outside, does Xenomorph change a little bit, adapt to, the open area?
Well, he is smart, so of course he will adapt. We're not going to go into too much detail as of yet, no spoilers. But yeah, obviously, you as a player, you'll have to learn how to survive in these extreme conditions, and the alien will have to learn how to hunt you as well. So it's not going to be an easy ride.
Okay, and then I was wondering, obviously we're going to Blake now as opposed to Amanda Ripley. How does that kind of change the gameplay experience? Is there any changes to it?
I mean, we're really proud of Blake, and I think for us, the fact that she's a Weyland-Yutani executive, it kind of brings a slightly different angle to the franchise, because we haven't really played as a Weyland-Yutani employee before. So that's really cool for us to explore. As for the gameplay, I mean, we're still quite early in development, so we're keeping it under wraps for now, but expect exciting things.
Well, then I was kind of wondering, will Blake get any new tools that we'll be able to use, and how does that maybe affect the stealth mechanics in the game?
Ooh, that's a great question. I mean, yeah, you will have a range of tools. Some of the old favorites will make the return. I mean, I'm sure people have seen the key art, the motion tracker is still very much there, so you can rely on that. But yeah, you will have some new tools as well. But yeah, I think ultimately it's all about the sandbox gameplay, and because it's unscripted, it's going to be different for different players. So some people really like to rely on noisemakers and molotovs, and the flamethrower is a big fan favorite, and others really like just to hide in the locker, and that's me. And it's a valid tactic. So I think really for us it's all about giving people the options and kind of just having this, supporting this range of play styles so that you can make the story of survival your own. And I think that's what makes the game special.
Yeah. So what were the biggest challenges of designing the planet's surface, and how did you make sure that feels different from Alien Isolation?
So we are super focused on original Ridley Scott's 1979 film. So it's all about that lo-fi sci-fi aesthetics, the 1979 tech, all the clunky buttons, the analog interactions, everything is very tactile, and it just has a lo-fi, believable feel. So obviously, the film takes place on a space station, it's not on the planet. But for the art team, because we have a really great relationship with 20th Century Games, and we still have the archive from the Fox available to us, and it's just a treasure chest of all the different images, and we can really just dissect the sets and the props and really dive deep into how they built them, kind of how all the buttons were made, what kind of materials they used, and kind of by really diving deep into that, we are able to deconstruct and then build upon that foundation to build the new spaces. So I think the team has done a great job of kind of just really having that super in-depth knowledge of the source material, both the film Alien and the first game, and kind of taking that and adapting it to the planet's surface.
I know you've already touched on it a little bit, but did you look at any other media in the Alien franchise and took inspiration from it for Alien Isolation 2?
I mean, it's great to see the franchise evolving, and obviously it brings new people in, and we're all about that. Like, it's great to see. For us, the focus has always been on Ridley Scott's original Alien. We feel like it is the film that best suits the gameplay. It's all about this haunted house, you versus the creature. There's no action. It's all very kind of subdued and atmospheric and ambient. So for us, that is the main focus. But having said that, I mean, there was the safe station from the first game was an Alien Romulus, and for the team, that was absolutely amazing. Yeah. It was incredible. When we saw it, we were like, oh my god, what is going on? So it's great to see the franchise evolving. But yeah, original Alien is still our focus.
Yeah, I have to say it was honestly so cool seeing that in the film. Like, I played that, I hit there, and I was terrified in that section, so that was really awesome. I also wanted to know, with switching to Unreal Engine 5, what new technologies were you able to use and implement, and how did that kind of change the game?
Yeah. Well, we have a great team. We have a great mixture of old and new, and have a lot of people who worked on the original game, and we have people who came in, joined the team as fans of the original game, and they kind of bring in the new ideas. So obviously Unreal Engine 5 unlocks a massive pool of talent for us, which has been fantastic. In terms of the new tech, we are focused on obviously audio and lighting as kind of the two main examples. You know, for the horror game, obviously, these are the two main building blocks that will make that atmospheric, scary, ambient experience. So we took some of the tech from the original game, we had it for a while, it's evolved, and I think it's shaping up really, really well. So basically it allows us to utilize the strength of the Unreal Engine and really push them beyond in areas where it matters the most for our game.
Awesome. Now, I have to ask, because I will be playing it and I want to make sure I survive, do you have any tips on how to stay alive? Any little thing that I can take with me?
Some luck? Wouldn't hurt you?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I mean, the alien, the creature can see you, it can hear you, you can try to hide. Yeah. You will have some tools in the demo in the arsenal to try to distract it. There's multiple ways to escape, so I'm not going to spoil anymore, but outrunning it's not going to work, unfortunately. It's faster than you. Just got to hope for the best.
Yeah. I will be hoping for the best. So when can we expect to play it?
When it's ready. We're still quite early, so we're not ready to confirm the date yet, but it's getting there.
Thank you so much, Anna, for talking to me. It's super exciting to find out more about Alien Isolation 2.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. And for anything more on Alien Isolation 2 and many more games, don't forget to stay tuned to IGN.
Oh, hey, you're watching Gamescom Studio here on IGN. Chronicles Medieval is the brand new action game I cannot wait to play. It looks so good. Here to tell us all about it, Sam and Gareth from Raw Power. What's up, dudes?
Yeah, great to be here. Thank you.
Good to see you, too. So give the audience sort of an overview of this game, because I love the sort of sense of scale that we're playing with here.
Yeah, absolutely. So Chronicles Medieval is an action RPG strategy hybrid. We're blending a lot of genres in there, mixing a lot of things. So we're a medieval sandbox. We're authentic to the 14th century time period. And we're all about you as an army commander getting stuck into the battlefield, commanding big armies of troops. But also this exploration, strategy, roleplay is all a big factor as well.
Yeah, a really big key point of difference for us is our historical setting, 1313 to 1348. Which is like very much grounded in Europe. So everything is historically authentic as possible.
Where did the idea of like hyper-focusing on this very specific time period and turning it into a video game come from? What's the origins of that?
So I think we're a lot of medieval nerds at Raw Power Games. So I mean, we love the time period in general. For that specific time period, I mean, it's such a fascinating cross point of history there. England, France, Holy Roman Empire, super fascinating differences between them, a lot of internal politics, things like the 100 Years' War breaking out, these really big events that really left their mark on European history. So it's just a really fascinating time to delve into, I think.
Yeah, and things like technology, the feudal hierarchy, all of these things are so rich. They're like so ripe for game features and enjoyable experiences that it's like, it's there for the picking. You're like, it's hard to filter out all of the ideas that they give you as a game designer. You know, it's so rich, it's so awesome. It was such a cool period. So yeah, it's just
you guys are genuinely geeked out about this. I love that. It's like infectious. It's awesome. One of the things I really love looking at this game about is this sort of sense of scale. It starts off really massive and then comes in really close for combat. Tell me a little bit about that push and pull, because a lot of games just kind of go, hey, you're all the way up here, you're kind of the eye of God or whatever. But you guys are like, no, we also want to get really gritty, really down to earth, roll around in the mud, stabbing people and stuff like that.
Yeah, so, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, this is very much a role-play game. You are this commander on the battlefield. So, you know, before the battle starts, you know, you could give some commands, some strategy, some tactics to your troops. But in the thick of battle, you're not God. You can't oversee what is going on at all times. You are just a mere mortal on that battlefield as well, right? So we really wanted to have that push and pull, that play of you setting up your tactics, being able to command your troops, these men, these thousands of men that are under your command, and how are you going to make the best use out of their specialities and the advantages you have? How are you going to play those cards right? But also, you are the tip of the spear, right? You are sword in hands, you're charging in, you're getting stuck in, you're immortal, you are not some fantasy warlord that can strike everyone down. You're just as vulnerable. But you can inspire those men, right? If they see their commander getting stuck in, performing amazing feats, they're going to feel inspired. And that's all mechanics in the game that you can leverage to your best ability to be able to win these battles.
Yeah, it's all about playing that mixture of commander, but also boots on the ground, swinging your sword. Maybe your favorite thing is the poleaxe. So if you use the poleaxe, you gain experience with that. You unlock combos, you unlock special attacks, and you can really, really devastate enemies' morale because you're there in your shining armor. You're this excellent guy. If your men see you slaughtering enemies, they get inspired and they get fearful. So you want to both make sure you have a well laid out plan, but then you also really want to get stuck in. And you can do both on the fly. We have a little bit of time dilation in our command mode, which was like a little bit of slow down time, which was kind of like a breakthrough moment for us, because when the chaos of war is underway, you just need that like momentary breather. So that's kind of as godlike as it gets. There's a little bit of a gamification moment for you to be able to be like, okay, my left flank is breaking, give me a second to react and send in some reinforcements, or I'll start moving over there now that I've seen this so I can start inspiring the troops in that area, kind of thing.
The inspiring and morale mechanic is like blowing my mind right now. That is, so where did the idea come from to be like, hey, these people, they're like really hyped on this, but also now they're watching people getting devastated and torn apart, and they're like, why am I here? Like, I love that system.
And it's very much a fact of history, essentially. So like things like shock cavalry, for example, their role was to incite fear in the enemy, right? To dash in, deal heavy damage, reposition, and do it again, because people's minds would break before their bodies break.
That's a very good quote. Very true. Yeah, it's something that we really enthused throughout the whole game. So it's not just on the battlefield. On the battlefield, of course, you really need to care about, are you keeping the morale up? What can you do to help flank and keep the morale up of your troops? But even going back to that exploration map, you need to care about upkeeping your troops, make sure they're paid, well-fed. If anyone going into a battle on an empty stomach and no coin in their pocket, they're not going to fight for you very well.
They're not going to be too chuffed.
So you really need to think about that and think about how to keep those men happy and strong and fighting capable.
I love that. You guys have really thought of everything here. I love this. I want to talk about violence because I'm a fan of violence in video games. I'm a fan of violent horror movies and stuff like that. You guys have a really interesting kind of approach here where you're like, we're going to show it, but how deep do you really go into it? Like how violent do things get on the battlefield here?
I mean, historically speaking, it was very violent on the battlefield, of course. So, if we wanted to go deep into that, we absolutely could. We want to find the right balance of non-gratuitous violence for violence sake, and find the level that still gives you the satisfaction that you expect from striking someone down and feeling that feedback and feeling that sense of, this is a chaotic battlefield. People are losing their lives here, and you feel that like risk and tension within that, but without it just being gore for gore's sake.
Yeah, if you hit an enemy in the face, he will be covered in blood. There will be blood in his chainmail, and when he dies on the ground, there will be a pool of blood, and the field will be littered with corpses. All of this stuff. But we're not skinning people or anything like this, And some of our executions are fairly grim, taking a poleaxe, hooking someone's leg out from underneath them and stabbing them in the neck. So all of this, fun video game violence stuff.
I appreciate that. I think that's a really good balance of being like, all right, we threw violence in there's blood everywhere, but it's not like you're just like severing people's body parts flying into the sky and stuff like that. It is still ultimately grounded. And I think that leans into the fact that the art direction of this game is really beautiful and almost painterly. It feels like it's based on old paintings in a way. And so talk to me a little bit about deciding how you made this game look, because it's very unique and it's very special.
Yeah, I mean, for us, it was important to be authentic to the time period as much as possible, right? That's kind of the pillar that we wanted to really uphold. And that is true in terms of landing on an art style that is towards realism, not wanting to, go anything more abstract or cartoony in any way, but without needing to also go into over hyper-realism for hyper-realism's sake. But also throughout the game in terms of UI and 2D art and everything that we have there, we've leaned on a lot of historical methods of fresco painting and things like this, things that really just immerse you within the time period and just give you that little bit of charm for what medieval was like. One thing that a few people have pointed out and we're very happy people see is that we really wanted to keep the color of medieval. A lot of Hollywood has depicted medieval as just gray and beige. And we're like, no, it was colorful. The coats of arms that people would wear, the heraldry emblazoned, their arms was super colorful. And we want to make sure that that's there and that you can really see what medieval was like in that way.
Yeah, exactly. It's a really rich time period, and color was very, very important in a lot of ways. It even showed how wealthy you were. You couldn't get purple very easily, so nobles wore purple. And on the field, it mattered because you needed to be able to see who was on your side amongst this chaos of this melee, this really close, brutal combat. Often you could end up fighting somebody who was on your side without knowing if you didn't wear the colors and the heraldry of your noble liege lord, So
I love that.
It's important to bring this color to the game.
Yeah. No, as I'm a big art nerd, and I love going to museums when especially here in Germany and stuff like that. And so the second I saw that your game has a very distinct look to it that's very clearly inspired by paintings, I was like, they're onto something here. Okay, so you hinted at it a little bit in terms of feeding the soldiers and stuff like that and morale, but what sort of things can the player kind of expect to do outside of the battlefield?
Yeah, so our exploration map is kind of like the other half of our game. It's like the overworld, the more strategic exploration layer. So you come into this medieval sandbox, a lowly, unlanded, can come from nobility background, peasantry background. Character creation will allow you to make those kind of choices. But ultimately, we're letting you loose in the sandbox to go and do as you see fit. So you're going to explore, you're going to trade, you're going to quest, you're going to engage in diplomacy with other characters. And all of these actions are for the player to decide where they want to go, what do they want to be in this world, what legacy do they want to create for themselves. And all of this is in purpose of building up an army, building up, getting titles to land, and being the true claimant to some land, and being able to embark on what you want to do. And building an army, getting your troops is a really important thing. Getting levies from towns, getting household troops from castles, all of these things, we're really modeling in a way that you really need to think. You can't just spawn people out of thin air wherever you want. You need to travel to these lands. You need to visit and talk to people. It's all a big part of the roleplay experience.
Yeah, absolutely. All of the units that you can find, they are region specific. You're not going to find a French Castilier unit, deep in Scotland.
No.
So you have to travel, and traveling is dangerous. You might encounter some bandits. You might find a quest along the way, and you might find yourself distracted. You wanted some Castilier, but you've ended up, raiding a village. It's about things appearing to you as you explore the sandbox, making your own castle from that sand, doing as you please and as you desire as you move through all of these systems and features that we've created for you, such as the feudal hierarchy system. You might pledge allegiance to a new lord. Your lord may be very happy with what you're up to and give you a new title and new land.
Yeah.
So it's all up to you to write your own story in this medieval Europe we've created for you.
Yeah. It's so cool.
And it blends perfectly with the battles the battles are epic and amazing and super fun to play on their own, but having the stakes going into them from the exploration map, you've got something to lose, something to gain. These men, if you lose them, you're going to have to start from fresh. You're going to have to find new troops to your banner. That stake going into the battle, or that tension that is then passed on to getting victory or not, that's what really makes the battle shine.
Yeah, it's the context, if you like. The battles themselves are beautiful on their own, but the RPG elements, they provide the context, the stakes. If you're fighting the Duke of Valois in Burgundy because you want his land, suddenly that battle carries a lot more meaning.
Yeah.
Right? Rather than the men are dying for something.
This is nuts, by the way. This is all awesome. Your optimism here is infectious. I did not know there were this many overlapping, interconnecting systems all feeding into the battle. That's just awesome. All right, when can people play this game? Besides, I want to play this game right now, but I have to wait, right?
A little bit, not too long. So we're planning to go to Steam Early Access early 2027, and then we're going to be in Early Access, and we really want to utilize Early Access to be in concert with community, hearing that feedback, adjusting the game. We want to be very open to that, and we plan to be there as long as we need to be there until we get to 1.0, and then we want to bring it to console and to more players and really land from that point.
Awesome. Well, congrats, guys. I can't wait to play it.
Thanks so
Chronicles
much.
Medieval, go wishlist it right now on Steam. Thank you so much for watching. We got lots more Gamescom Studio ahead here on IGN.
The average Cinefix movie list features nearly 100 different films and approximately 25 minutes worth of wall-to-wall deep dive analysis. To simulate that pace for this 30-second ad, we're featuring 26 different films, and before you say it, no, that math does not check out. We're not math people, we're movie people. We can't even count down from 10 without ending up at, like, 96. Subscribe to IGN Movies and TV for more Cinefix movie lists. Bad at math, great at movies.
IGN Playlist is the best way to track your game collection. Now you can even import your entire Steam library to Playlist, making it easier than ever to review games, show off your collection to the world, and finally chip away at that massive backlog you keep meaning to get to. IGN Playlist, check it out.
IGN Store has everything you need to level up your life.
Red 6 standing by.
Refresh your wardrobe with official gear you won't find anywhere else. Treat yourself to the coolest collectibles like an adorable SKA plush, your very own Assassin's Creed Hidden Blade, and a fully functional Pip-Boy 3000. Head to store.ign.com and start shopping today. Do you want to be the very best like no one ever was? Streamline your journey to becoming a master trainer with Planet Pokemon. Choose your Pokemon, filtering by type, stats, or game availability. Then use the full team builder to assemble an unbeatable lineup. Plan out the optimal set of moves, items, and abilities. Play to your strengths by analyzing your team's resistances and offensive coverage. Or really maximize your Poke potential by digging into the stats by adjusting EVs and IVs. And save multiple team builds for different strategies in different games. Plan your dream team today at planetpokemon.com.
The creators of Warframe are back with a new fantasy RPG, Soulframe. Here to tell us all about it is CEO of Digital Extremes, Steve Sinclair, and Senior Community Manager, Sarah Aslan. Welcome, guys. Welcome
Hi.
to IGN at Gamescom. How are you doing?
Thank you. Thanks for having us. Great. It's so fun to be in the buzz of everything and meet everyone that's here.
Absolutely. Thank you both for being here. Steve, I'm going to start with you. For those unaware of what Soulframe is, just tell us what it is and tell us, is it tied to Warframe in any way?
Well, it's made by the same studio that made Warframe, and Warframe is still going very, very strong for DE. It's growing, and it's having its best year ever. It's in its 14th year. But we are trying to add a sister project to Warframe, and what makes it different enough to excuse its existence is it's set in a different, a radically different setting, in a fantasy type setting, where the world has been taken over by these polluting sky people called the Ode. And it's about swords and magic and lots of fuzzy animals.
Very cute animals.
Yes. I saw, and maybe we'll see it in a minute, when I was looking through the footage, I saw some rabbits that I was like, that is, I've heard you have been talking to people about rabbits today. So.
Rabbits and rats. We
Rats.
have, for
Okay.
some reason, a special love of rats in Soulframe, and you might meet a certain rat witch that can show you the way, and maybe they fly. I don't know.
Maybe they fly.
Maybe they fly.
Okay.
Maybe they fly, yeah.
All right, color me intrigued. Sarah, we're going to talk today about Soulframe Prelude. So tell us what that is, how players can gain access. Tell us all about it.
So Soulframe Preludes is our fancy term for pre-alpha, because we were too fancy to just call it that.
You haven't forgiven me for calling it that, have you?
Well, I've had to answer this question 7,000 times. So
I know, but it gives us something to talk about.
This is true. hence answering this question. So we are still in closed early access to Soulframe. You can sign up on soulframe.com. We send out invites every single week. We also sometimes do drops on our Twitch streams. So we have a dev stream every month. Usually you can watch and get a code there. If you're really keen, we'll have one in September. Otherwise, sign up on soulframe.com. And this has just been a really amazing experience to build this game. Oh, rabbits!
They're the rabbits.
Yeah.
Cute rabbits.
And we have cute rabbits. And yeah, this has been an opportunity to build Soulframe from the very beginning with the feedback of the Preludes players. And it's been super essential to how we've designed and created this game, how we've developed the new player experience, and how we will continue to do so.
It's how Warframe was made.
Yeah.
So Warframe was made in the shadow of, kind of sounds familiar to what's happening right now, which is publishers are shrinking, the financial markets are in a mess. I haven't seen this bad in a long time. And that was a time when DE lost contracts with publishers, and we were going to go out of business, and we said, let's just talk directly to players and see if they'll support a Space Ninja game. And of course they did, and here we are 14 years later. As we were queuing up to come in here, we met a Warframe and Soulframe player, had some notes for us to fix with our current Preludes update.
You're on my iPhone currently.
Exactly, Sarah took notes. But it is very much a community-driven project, which means we opened it up way too soon, or sort of half opened it up, as Sarah says. But we felt strongly we wanted to build it the same way again, even though you could argue the world has changed, or expectations are higher, or if you do an alpha, it's like a full release and people judge you. So we're kind of bearing the brunt of some of that judgment, but we feel it's essential to the way DE works, which is to build a community at the same time you build the game.
And that's what's cool about Gamescom, is you get to come with
That's right.
face-to-face with those players.
That's right.
Now look, I see here Preludes 16 is adding a ton of stuff to the game. I don't think we have time to go through everything. You just have, it's packed with new things. But Steve, I'll start with you. Just tell me some of the things that you're most excited about for players to see with this.
Raising a puppy, raising a wolf puppy. And the cool thing about raising the wolf puppy is the things you do affect the outcome. So if you want to have a very awesome guard dog, then bring it into combat with you. If you want to have a lovable, adorable pet that will boost your vitality, then play with it and cuddle with it. If you want it to find treasure for you, play fetch a lot. So it's a really cool little mini system within Preludes. And then eventually it grows up into this big thing right here.
Yeah.
But we're starting first with raising the pup, which is connected to Fable within the game already. We are bringing in fishing, which all the stuff that we did at TennoCon. You meet the Sky people, you got Ben Starr singing an opera, you got
the number one thing.
You got Jennifer English, like, blasting as the Empress. Nope, everyone's cheering for fishing.
Yep.
So we have the fishing system coming in as an early release with a bunch of new, it's basically just a whole new mini game that's connected to the larger game. And we got a weather system coming in, because I'm a big Red Dead head.
Yeah.
So that really changes up the game. It actually affects how the game operates. If it's a lightning storm, then all your voltaic damage is boosted. After rains, the resources are boosted that are natural and organic resources. And then the last one, which we just got torn to shreds by our Envoy Preludes player, was when are you going to fix the tempers system? And we're actually
16.
Yes, and we're actually fixing some of the issues, the balance issues with that.
Sarah, I also wanted to ask, I hear there are a ton of new weapons and armor and things like that.
We have new weapons coming, which will be really exciting hand in hand with the temper rework as well. And new armor. Every single update, we always try to add more of this and more content to get while you play with these new systems in game. And also, I was thinking we could announce the name, because we decided on that this morning.
Please do.
I didn't ask him if I could do this.
Yep.
So I mean,
Go
you're
ahead.
the CEO. So okay.
Go ahead.
Soulframe Preludes 16 of Hook and Hound.
Hook and Hound. There you go.
See, a little
Fishing
wing.
and puppy references.
Yes,
Excellent.
yes.
That is incredible. Thank you for sharing
You
that.
heard it here first.
Awesome. So I want to stick with you for a second. So you mentioned this a second ago, but you debuted a ton of new content at TennoCon last month.
Oh my God.
So you talked a little bit about it, but tell us, I mean, obviously that was a big moment for you guys. Tell us about some of the things you showed there.
So at TennoCon, we shared a demonstration of an upcoming Soulframe. I almost said Warframe.
Yep.
Upcoming Soulframe Fable, War Songs. This is taking you into the origin story of your envoy. You start to learn a little bit more about the background and why you're here. Things kind of begin to make sense in a way they didn't before. And this is going to come out in an update, hopefully by the end of this year. We did say fall-ish,
Yep,
so
we said fall-ish.
there's an asterisk there. And it will also include the long-awaited mounts. So again, mounts will not be coming in Prelude 16. That is just the beginning of the system in mid-September. But stay tuned for the end of this year for War Songs, mounts, and yeah, this beautiful story that we are so blessed to have Ben Starr and Jennifer English voice act.
Very, very cool. Who doesn't love that? Steve, we talked a little bit about this before, but I want to dig into it some more. With a game like this, obviously, community is paramount, right? It's of utmost importance. So you mentioned you all have been taking direct feedback to some people on the Gamescom show floor, which is
Minutes
really
ago.
cool. Y'all are at places like TennoCon and things like that. Tell me about the importance of engaging with the community on a game like this, whether it's at something as big as Gamescom or if it's just in day-to-day other forums.
Yeah, and I mean, so on the Warframe and Soulframe side, we're going to Korea to do a dev stream from there and have direct contact with our players there. We're going into China as well for a Tenno VIP. So we do a lot of travel to do small events and meet with 100, 200 players on Warframe side. We're sending Soulframe people now to this as well. Obviously, there's a bit of audience crossover. To be honest, way back when we started this, it was the only thing that we could do to distinguish ourselves because everything was so closed. You didn't talk directly to a developer, you didn't talk directly to the community. Everything was massaged, PR, control the message, damage control, you're speaking through an intermediary. So we thought, well, if we're going to go this alone, we're going to let people speak directly to the creators, and we're going to create hopefully not a parasocial relationship, but a relationship with them where we respect their time, we respect the energy and the commitment they put into the game. 14 years, like meeting people that've been playing when they were like kids, and now they've gone through university, and now they have careers. And I'm a programmer. I was like, whoa, that doesn't make me feel old at all. But at the beginning, that felt like other people weren't doing it. And so that is part of, I think, kind of the culture that we have at the company, which is to take that really seriously. We didn't really know what it meant when we started it. We're like, we're going to take direct feedback from the players, and we didn't know we were going to experience total ego death. But now that's continued, and we want to keep that going with Soulframe as well. In Preludes, it's been rough for some players. We redo a system, or we introduce something that makes them worried about, it's too grindy, and that sort of thing. And I think it's the reputation we've built to say we're going to listen. If we don't get it right, we'll make it right. And that's going to continue for Soulframe as well.
Absolutely. So before I let y'all go, Sarah, I want to end with you on this. We've talked a little bit about this. Y'all have big plans for Tenno VIP and South Korea.
Yes.
We're not asking you to spoil everything, of course. You already gave us a great announcement here. But what can you tell us about that event? It's coming up very soon.
Yeah, so Warframe has been kind enough to let us have a brief moment.
Four or 5 minutes.
But it will be the first time that we showcase some of this pup bonding progression, some of the fishing, and some of the cool stuff, actually snippets from in-game from Soulframe Prelude 16. Of Hook and Hound.
Yes, sneak peek.
That's incredible. Look, we're going to go in just a minute, but before we do, I always like to ask people about this just really briefly. Steve, I'll start with you.
Sure.
This game has a lot. Is there one thing,
not
you
enough.
As a player, not enough, as a player or a fan, is there one thing you're most excited for fans to see?
In the near term, it's going to be the weather system.
Yeah, that's a great answer.
Because it changes not only the gameplay, but it changes the feel, and it really adds longevity and vibrancy, I think, to the environment that we have. We have an overworld and we have procedural dungeon mix, and I think that's one of the things I'm really excited for, and it's really turned out great.
Yeah. Weather for Steve. Sarah, one thing.
Oh, the day they finally let me put romance systems into the game.
Weather and romance systems.
I see.
That's probably a long way off.
Yes, wow.
Amazing.
Too many hunks. Too many hunks.
That's the title of the next one. Steve, Sarah,
a good idea.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
If you want to join the Soulframe journey, sign up on soulframe.com to be included in the weekly Preludes access drawings and join the community. You can also tune into Soulframe's dev streams on Twitch for access to Soulframe Preludes by linking your account and watching the stream for 30 consecutive minutes. Be sure to check out the Tenno VIP dev stream on September 4th, live from South Korea on Soulframe and Warframe's YouTube and Twitch channels. And for more on all things Soulframe, stay tuned to IGN.com. Thank you very much.
Can't find that final collectible you're missing? IGN strategy guides and interactive maps are here to help.
One step at a time.
IGN guides are trusted by millions, easy to use, and best of all, free. IGN has the very best, most complete and accurate guides for Shadow of the Erdtree, Baldur's Gate 3, Tears of the Kingdom, and so much more.
See? It's good, right?
Every guide is tested and verified for you by experts. Just search for IGN when you search for guides.
IGN Plus is where your adventure begins.
What are you selling?
Plus is the place to get unlimited access to all the tools you need to beat your games.
Here's what you need to know for bringing down Gloomspawn.
Plus, awesome exclusive discounts on IGN Store.
Maybe this would tease open your money pouch.
Plus, ad-free browsing on IGN.com. Plus, unlimited game help tools like premium interactive maps with your own custom map markers, filters, marker notes, and more.
This will come in handy.
Plus, access to sweepstakes, giveaways, and free game keys.
Wow! Exactly.
Want more? Head to IGN.com/plus and start your adventure today.
The average Cinefix movie list features nearly 100 different films and approximately 25 minutes worth of wall-to-wall deep dive analysis. To simulate that pace for this 30-second ad, we're featuring 26 different films, and before you say it, no, that math does not check out. We're not math people, we're movie people. We can't even count down from 10 without ending up at, like, 96. Subscribe to IGN Movies and TV for more Cinefix movie lists. Bad at math, great at movies.
You're rocking with Gamescom Studio here on IGN. I'm a simple man. A video game lets me travel to a distant planet and fight big, terrifying creatures. I get excited, and luckily Alien Deathstorm is going to let me do exactly that. Here to tell me all about it is Ben Fisher, head of design on Alien Deathstorm. Yo, what's up, dude?
How's it going?
Thanks for coming by.
Yeah, no problem.
So give folks a sort of overview, big picture about what this game is.
Okay, Alien Deathstorm is an action horror sci-fi shooter set on an off-world colony gone wrong. The player plays as an engineer who's been sent in to try and resolve the situation. When they get there, they find out that it's much worse than they thought.
So in terms of survival horror, it feels like you're a bit more on the front foot in this game. You're not necessarily scampering around in the darkness, running out of flashlight batteries. Like, you're out there killing. You're fighting back.
Yeah, so the most interesting thing we found in the game is it's got a real a sort of balance between quiet, tense anticipation moments where you're exploring, trying to understand what's gone wrong, balanced out by these huge climactic battles, and the enemy population is procedurally generated around the player and their actions, so no two playthroughs will be the same.
Oh, that's awesome. I had no idea. What made you guys decide to do that instead of having like specifically scripted moments? Was that pretty much just for the surprise element?
Well, at Rebellion, we really favor games that have like sandbox freedom for the player, so you've got a clear goal and then you've got as much freedom as possible to achieve it. Typically, horror games are much more choreographed so that you can like build in anticipation and build in jump scares, but that means that you can play them once before that's spent,
Right.
essentially. Yeah. So we like to encourage replay. We like to encourage players to have a different experience every time they play. So the only way to do that was procedurally. So what the game does is monitors the player's exploration, monitors how they're interacting with the world, and as the player's exploring and poking around in sort of sandbox environments, they attract attention to themselves. And every now and again, a climactic battle kicks.
Yeah. You guys worked on the AVP games, and this is basically you taking a lot of ideas from those things, but going, we're going to go with a brand new story here, a brand new approach. What was the decision there to sort of kind of strike away from a licensed IP and just be like, let's go nuts with our own thing?
Well, now we make games that are exclusively our own IP.
Yeah.
So Rebellion likes to make games that we can do what we like, essentially. So if we were working on a game that was someone else's IP, you've got to ask permission. You've got to make sure you fit the brand guidelines of what already exists. And we like to work in a very kind of iterative, collaborative way. And that means the most interesting stuff in the game has emerged over time. It's not things that we wrote in a document and then you just make the game that's on the document, right? So the Death Storm itself is an element in the game that has emerged over time as being like a key part of the identity.
I love the title of the game, by the way. It's like when you see Texas Chainsaw Massacre or something like, yep, there's an alien death storm. I'm in.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, like the aliens themselves, the creature design of this game looks really cool. And I think what I love about what I've seen so far is I haven't gotten a really good glimpse of them because it's dark, there's storms happening, there's weather conditions and all this stuff. Tell me a little bit about coming up with the creature design, the scale of them and all that, because we're seeing stuff that's, scurrying across walls and ceilings, but then there's some big mother F words in there too.
Yeah, so to talk about the sort of wall crawling, scuttling aliens.
Yeah.
By making our own IP, we can choose how big they are and how they behave and make them easy to shoot as part of the game and those sorts of things. We wanted you to feel like you were being hunted by real predatory animals.
Oh, man.
So it's not like just all-out run-and-gun shooter, but it's a fight for survival. They're powerful, you're powerful, and it's tense and difficult to survive the situation. So a lot of the time, it's as smart to run away from the fight as it is to actually get stuck straight in.
Are there any sort of like classic movie monsters or creatures from like TV shows or even books that kind of inspired some of the alien designs in this game?
Not as directly as that. I mean, most of the game dev team are all sort of familiar with 90s classic, grounded sci-fi. So all of that sort of percolated in, and then we just followed what was the best fit for the game that we had in front of us.
I love that. The setting itself is really interesting because you've effectively created this off-world colony, correct?
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about how the player gets there, what this place is, because it's a really fascinating setting, especially like some of the indoor areas where there's like plant life growing. There's a lot of story happening here.
Yeah. So we wanted it to feel like a kind of gritty, grounded, sort of cassette futurism environment. So it's not hyper travel or anything like that. It's hard work to get there and dangerous when you're there. That feeds into that desire we've got to make sort of sandbox environments, because if the player understands the rules of a space, it's a bit easier for them to explore. So we wanted it to have that kind of real world grounding, so it's easier to digest and understand the space they're exploring.
So expand on this sort of sandbox mentality here, because like we have, there are smaller corridors and stuff, and then there's stuff that opens up and kind of big. How does it get sandboxy?
So it's a mission-driven game,
right?
And each mission is a sort of self-contained sandbox, like a key landmark, a key location, and then the surrounding area, much like Sniper Elite.
Yeah. I was going to ask you about that because the way the weapons are handled in that game are some of my favorite weapon handling in any game, basically. And we're going to have a lot of fun toys to play with here, obviously. So talk to me a bit about what we're holding, what we're shooting, like how many of these things are basically grounded in our reality, our timeline? How much of them have a big sci-fi emphasis on them?
Sure. So the weapons that you see in the demo, we've revealed 3 of the weapons and a couple of the pieces of equipment available in the game. We wanted the weapons all to have that grounded, gritty, sort of inspired by the real world, just ahead in the future a little bit, that sort of atmosphere. Because we felt we found that made you feel more exposed, more immersed, and therefore like the threat of the aliens is much more powerful. So the weapons themselves are inspired by real world weapons. They are upgradable by the player
cool.
at sort of 3D printing stations, essentially. So you can swap components to tune the gun in a direction that you want to play. So it's all about tailoring your play style, what kind of strategies you want to deploy to try and survive combat situations with aliens.
So you won't be like funneled into using specific weapons for specific moments for the most part, right?
That's
like
correct,
you have a lot of flexibility there.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know what moments are going to be there, right?
Right,
So
that's true.
Every time you play, if you play the same mission twice, you'll get drastically different experiences with aliens. If you play the game co-op with a friend, you're going to get different population again.
I really love that because it's, I tend to play very kind of up close and personal. I love the sci-fi shotgun approach that we've got going on here.
Yeah.
But that's not going to help you in a lot of scenarios, right?
Sure, you've got to. All of the maps are built in a sort of interconnected, slightly sandboxy way. So there's never a really defensible position. So you have to tailor your strategy to the situation you find yourself in. So make sure you're adaptable. Make sure that you're playing in your preferred play style, but also be smart about it. Be observant.
When did you know, when did the team know that this felt like it was kind of cooking on all cylinders? Like, you were like, all right, we got the gunplay down, we got the environments down, like, we got this vibe going on right now. Like, when did everything start to really click for you guys?
There were two sort of key elements that made it really feel like it was clicking. One was when the dynamic population started to really pay off, really started to work. So you don't know what encounter is going to happen, but the cadence of it feels right. And then the other was the way that we handle objectives in the game. So it's a non-traditional way of doing objectives, inspired by the work we did on Atomfall, where it's framed more like you're a detective and you're using a journal to track leads, essentially.
Which, nice work. I love that game, by the way.
Thank you. What we did in Alien Deathstorm is, as an engineer, you've got a tool we call Squire, which is kind of helping you diagnose the locations you find yourself in to sort of find out what's wrong with the hardware, and you can try and fix it. So there's a little bit of like puzzle solving to completing objectives. The reason that we do that is that it splits the player's attention. So that's a great way to build up anticipation when there's a fight going to kick off, because you're thinking hard about how do I get this place up and running.
Yeah.
And then you hear the howl of some approaching aliens and you go, oh God, I need to think about that now.
I love
that split is just so much fun.
Yeah. You guys have played with gore and violence in very creative and very clever and just very brutal, kind of over-the-top ways. I always appreciate that. What can I look forward to here in terms of that element? Like, obviously, we know there's going to be horror. There's the survival element. You're blowing stuff up, and it's, blood and guts and pus are coming out here. Tell me about the gore in this game.
Okay. I mean, in some situations, some enemies will burst, and your visor will get covered in gore, and you have to wipe it away.
Yes.
And similarly, when you're out in the storm, the air is full of horrible stuff, so it's gradually accumulating on your helmet, and you have to wipe that away as well.
Wow.
So it's all part of this desire to make it feel immersive and really drive the player into feeling like they are there and they are surviving.
That feels like a evolution of like the first time you felt frost on your visor in Metroid Prime or something like that.
Sort of thing, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So the rainfall sounds different depending on which direction you turn in your helmet and all those sorts of things. Really immersive.
Oh man, you guys are having fun.
Yeah, definitely.
That is awesome. All right, so we talked about the dynamic element of playing through these levels. Enemy placement is different. Things are going to surprise you in different ways. That was one of my questions in terms of replay value, but there's also difficulty, right?
Yes.
There's the idea of going like, you want to go in there and you're like, I'm not very good at this game. I don't like horror. I don't like survival. Not me, of course. I love that stuff. But other players might be like that. And then there's people who might be like, give me the hardest situation possible here. So what's the plan with the difficulty scaling?
So this is a real advantage to doing dynamic procedural population.
Right.
Is that you can scale up easily for the number of players, how well they're surviving, and the experience should tailor itself around them. We also believe in what we call play styles on Atomfall, where it's not just difficulty, but it's also like the difficulty of different elements of the game. So let's say you want a run and gun shooter, you want loads of aliens, you don't want to think about your next objective, you just want to pile through, you don't want to care about ammo scarcity, you just want visceral combat. We give the player that option to tailor the game as they see fit. Essentially, we start the game with a kind of like recommended serving, right? Like a suggestion of what we think is the most interesting balance, but we completely believe in it being like the player's experience and they can do whatever they please.
I really, really love that. The idea of playing through this game like multiple times on increasing difficulty levels, and I've got different monsters jumping out, different parts, scaring the crap out of me. You're doing it right. You're doing it right. Good work. Any last words on Alien Deathstorm? When can people play it?
It's spring 2027, and I really can't wait for people to get their hands on it.
All right. Last thing, tell me about this. What is happening here with this guy? This is a hammer crowbar, right?
Yeah, so this is the player's melee weapon in the game. This is what they use to fight off aliens, but also it's good for a bit of percussive maintenance to survive in the... if you're trying to fix some sci-fi hardware, you smash it with a hammer.
Oh, I love it. I love it so much. Dude, thank you so much. I cannot wait to play Alien Deathstorm. It looks absolutely awesome. We've got lots more Gamescom Studio coming up right here on IGN, so don't go anywhere.
Do you want to be the very best like no one ever was? Streamline your journey to becoming a master trainer with Planet Pokemon. Choose your Pokemon, filtering by type, stats, or game availability. Then use the full team builder to assemble an unbeatable lineup. Plan out the optimal set of moves, items, and abilities. Play to your strengths by analyzing your team's resistances and offensive coverage. Or really maximize your Poke potential by digging into the stats by adjusting EVs and IVs. And save multiple team builds for different strategies in different games. Plan your dream team today at planetpokemon.com. IGN Store has everything you need to level up your life.
Red 6 standing by.
Refresh your wardrobe with official gear you won't find anywhere else. From Fallout, Expedition 33, Romeo's a Dead Man, and more. Treat yourself to the coolest collectibles like an adorable SKA plush, your very own Assassin's Creed Hidden Blade, and a fully functional Pip-Boy 3000. Or kick back and relax to your favorite video game soundtracks on vinyl. Whatever you need, IGN Store has you covered. Head to store.ign.com and start shopping today.
Can't find that final collectible you're missing? IGN strategy guides and interactive maps are here to help.
One step at a time.
IGN guides are trusted by millions, easy to use, and best of all, free. IGN has the very best, most complete and accurate guides for Shadow of the Erdtree, Baldur's Gate 3, Tears of the Kingdom, Call of Duty Black Ops 6 Zombies, and so much more.
See? It's good, right?
Every guide is tested and verified for you by experts. Just search for IGN when you search for guides.
Thank you for joining IGN's coverage of the biggest gaming convention, Gamescom. Coming up, we'll have a look at a trailer for Once Human. We've got an exclusive interview of Metro 2039. Plus, we'll take a look at Tomb Raider Legacy of Atlantis. But first, let's check out a trailer for Valor Mortis.
Bonaparte says he brings enlightenment to the places he conquers.
I know some of these faces. Friends. Comrades. Now their eyes are hollow. Empty.
William! By the saints, is that truly you?
I'm worried, William. With those things looming. Don't know what they are. But they're not human. Not anymore.
The flame, it magnifies what is strong and valuable, destroys or omits what is unnecessary.
What will this thing do to me?
Only mad monarchs turn their kingdoms to ashes.
I do not think you insane, William. But even if you were, madness may be the only sane response.
If you're a fan of incredibly bleak post-apocalypses, you probably look forward to a new Metro game like a light at the end of the tunnel. And good news, there's one coming very soon. Here to tell us about Metro 2039, John Block, Pavel Ulmer, and Andrei Shevchenko from 4A Games. Welcome, guys. Thanks for coming.
Thank you very much.
You have one of the best-looking games of the show. This game looks absolutely stunning. People are genuinely impressed by it. There's one bit of confusion. Is it open world? Is it open like Exodus was, or is it kind of returning to the more linear stuff of the previous games? I feel like there's been a lot of chatter online trying to figure that out.
It's kind of a mix. We're trying to find the right balance again. We want to go back to the roots, to bring back a lot of the deep, dark, spooky, scary, oppressive tunnel feelings from the original Metro 2033 and Metro Last Light, but we don't want to lose everything that we brought to the table with Metro Exodus. So we found a new way to balance between classic Metro and all the new stuff into a new formula that we think is going to work really well. We also have to bring back some of the more linear segments that are more suited to really telling a really deep personal story. This game is more about the stranger, about the protagonist, his journey, his past, everything he's gone through, his troubles, the things that torment him. And in order to do that, in order to really make an immersive story that carries the player through it, we have to bring back a lot of those elements.
Yeah, so the world is wide enough, but just wide to keep on with the main story pacing. So,
yeah, and we are kind of balancing between all our great experience we already get. We know how to play with the huge spaces. We know how to play with the volumes. And for sure, we know how to play with linear stuff, because it's a story-driven game. And to drive the story, we need the linear parts to catch the player's feeling right in the moment. And
nice.
And use it.
But one of the important things that obviously from Exodus was wide exploration, and even in the linear sections, we've tried to make sure that there is always exploration. There's always opportunities to go down that other path, to find some loot, to find a door to open with some of the new tools that we have, like the cutting torch or the breaching charge, to solve a puzzle with the new UV lamp. That lets you see different, UV paint, like different hints in the world that allow you to find new things if you really want to explore.
Nice. I was going to ask you to rattle off some new features, but you beat me to it. Now let's talk about the stranger, this new protagonist. What's his role, and I guess how does this fit into the larger Metro narrative? Is this a good jumping-on point for first-time players?
Absolutely. There's his journey, his story. Everything about him is like the way that we've told this story. New players will be able to jump in and understand everything and go along for the ride. However, there's deep lore within the Metro universe that connects this story back into everything else that we've done in the previous 3 games. So both returning players and new players will be able to understand and enjoy everything.
yeah, there's a lot to explore for all of them, without telling too many spoilers. Yeah, but the personality is deep, the personality is thoughtful, traumatic in a certain way, and I'm sure it's going to be, let's say, echoing with a lot of players. Can't wait.
Yeah, it's the same universe, but now it's his personal story. And he is the main driver of this story. He has his own opinion of the story. He has his own goals to achieve. So it's all about him.
Can you tell us more about him? Because I feel, he's called the Stranger. I feel like you're kind of, playing it close to the chest there. But can you give us the basics of sort of how he comes into this universe?
Short answer is no.
Okay, fair enough.
We're holding back story details for now.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Players will appreciate it.
We've got some wonderful creatures here. Can you tell us a little bit about enemy types beyond the usual, human ruffians?
What you're seeing here now is the classic. Well, you did see it. Is the classic Nasalis. One thing that we've done this time around for combat is we've broken the mutants up into families with different roles and different types. The humans as well, they have different column classes. This allows us to give the player different enemy types, different behaviors, different abilities, things like armor, different weapons to fight against. And conversely, on the other side for the player, it gives the player more
Tools.
reason to have choice in the tools that they use to fight against them. Which weapon you choose, if you're using armor-piercing bullets, if you're not using armor-piercing bullets, if you're able to go stealth. We've added even for stealth, we've added the ability to drag an enemy when you choke them. There's a lot of new elements that are coming together to make it a lot more of a robust experience for players to actually want to strategize and what they choose.
Basically, players would have to think a lot before they shoot. And also, we're turning back the bullet as currency, as it was in the original games. So now we're like combining this with the crafting mechanics. So, but in general, yes, with the variety of bullets for different guns, variety of tactics, players would really need to think through how to approach their enemy and in different circumstances.
Yeah, and like always in a Metro, avoiding the combat, it's another strategy for you and for player. So save your bullets, save your filter, save your time to survive.
Yeah, I get the sense this is the kind of game that if you go in guns blazing, that doesn't usually end well. It's kind of not really the ideal approach there. That said, you've got some great new weaponry here. Can you tell me a little bit about what's new with weapon crafting and modification?
Well, that new weapon that we just saw right there, that's the player's that's the player's new special weapon. It's unique to him, and we call it the Shatoon. And returning players will recognize some of its functionality from a weapon that we had before called the Tihar, and also the Helsing. It kind of combines the two, depending on how you want to set the weapon up at the workbench, which is returning as well. It will either fire drill bits, which are pretty brutal, and you can grab them, you can retrieve them back from whatever you shot them into, or the steel ball bearings that are the classic from the Tihar, which can also be crafted in the field in the backpack, which gives you an advantage to always being able to craft more ammunition if you fall back to that weapon.
Yeah, and we just think that shooting drill bits is so badass.
That is extremely badass.
Yeah, and it's kind of mirror of a personality of a character. These drills, it's brutal enough.
Oof. Now, for players who really want the most hardcore experience, do you have any new kind of higher difficulty options or accommodations for people who just really want to get their asses kicked?
Oh, absolutely. For those who like to suffer, they will get what they ask for, 100%.
Yeah. We're always known for adding those difficulty levels. Absolutely.
Yeah, people love it. I mean, it's a game where you can just run out of breath and die. That's
as easy as that.
Some people like that. It's a good. You blow off some steam that way. Now, your games always look incredible in action. It's always just like stunning to see them. Just like it's one of the best looking games at Gamescom. I've seen a lot of comments about that. Is there a particular sort of visual detail that you would like to call out personally, or is there like one little thing, like a mundane element graphically that's really hard to get right that people might not notice?
I'll start. In general, the most achievement and in all the directions, including the visuals, is our engine. So the engine that makes it all possible. So the density of the details, of course, fully ray tracing and all the other features, brand new audio system is all the tools that give us opportunity to create that magic. So highlighting something in particular is like picking up your best child. It's too hard.
Fair.
But I think all these things coming together, like you mentioned, is the density, the density of objects, the density of detail, the density of audio, the density of literally everything we've been able to increase to take a lot of the restrictions away from our artists and animators and designers and sound designers. To be able to really push the limits and really push the bar again.
Yeah, it's genuinely impressive. That said, graphics cards aren't exactly cheap right now. You guys have a great history of being really good at optimizing your games, but I guess how would you say this compares to Exodus in terms of how much, how high end the hardware needs to be to run it well?
One thing that has always been a priority for us with our engine is to be multi-platform from the beginning. From day one, working on any of these games, we're running on console as well. We don't just like make it on PC, push the limit and then try to crunch everything back down to console. So performance is really, really important to us. Now we are requiring at least a minimum of a ray tracing capable card, because we've rebuilt our render to be fully ray tracing based. But that being said, this day and age, the requirements for a ray tracing card is actually quite low in comparison to a lot of what's out there. So from that standpoint, particularly also the current generation of consoles, they can all handle that as well. So it's really important for us to be performant, and that's one of the priorities with adding in all these cool new features and density and all that kind of stuff, is still staying performant.
Yeah, so basically we're utilizing the ray tracing technology to the point that it works, it looks great, and it doesn't blow up your graphics card.
Yeah,
so we're working a lot on optimization.
But we always allow those people that do have the hardware to really crank things up and take advantage.
Nice.
Well.
Speaking of ray tracing and stuff, I'm curious, are there any ways that you've been able to take advantage of more advanced lighting in the case of stealth? Are there any kind of... I know that, it used to be sort of shadows were kind of like an analog linear thing. It was just...
Of course. Lighting are one of the most parts of the Metro. The balancing of creating the real lighting, the pure lighting, the super realistic lighting, it's one of our main goals, and of course it's part of the stealth. Of course it's the easiest way is create a completely dark area, super darkness, and you will be unable to see anything. Such as enemies will not see you, but it's not interesting, so we're playing with a super realistic lighting to make your stealth believable, first of all.
Nice.
And one of the side effects of that too is that we'd have to completely redesign stealth in order to work with ray traced global illumination, because when you use the older methods where you can place lights or place darkness, all those things, you're able to fully design the stealth area around where you hand place everything. Now that light is moving around naturally, it changes how we design an area, but also it changes how you write the behaviors. Sorry, how you write the behaviors and how enemies can detect you, because all that has to change. So you have to completely rebuild how that works.
Damn. Yeah, I mean, you guys have clearly been very hard at work. So thanks for taking the time and showing this off.
Thank you.
Metro 2039 is hitting PC, Xbox Series, and PS5 next February, but right now there's more Gamescom coming up, so stick around.
IGN's coverage of Gamescom 2026 is presented by Metro 2039.
The average Cinefix movie list features nearly 100 different films and approximately 25 minutes worth of wall-to-wall deep dive analysis. To simulate that pace for this 30-second ad, we're featuring 26 different films, and before you say it, no, that math does not check out. We're not math people, we're movie people. We can't even count down from 10 without ending up at, 96. Subscribe to IGN Movies and TV for more Cinefix movie lists. Bad at math, great at movies.
Can't find that final collectible you're missing? IGN strategy guides and interactive maps are here to help.
One step at a time.
IGN guides are trusted by millions, easy to use, and best of all, free. IGN has the very best, most complete and accurate guides for Shadow of the Erdtree, Baldur's Gate 3, Tears of the Kingdom, and so much more.
See? It's good, right?
Every guide is tested and verified for you by experts. Just search for IGN when you search for guides.
IGN Plus is where your adventure begins.
What are you selling?
Plus is the place to get unlimited access to all the tools you need to beat your games.
Here's what you need to know for bringing down Gloomspawn.
Plus, awesome exclusive discounts on IGN Store.
Maybe this would tease open your money pouch.
Plus, ad-free browsing on IGN.com. Plus, unlimited game help tools like premium interactive maps with your own custom map markers, filters, marker notes, and more.
This will come in handy.
Plus, access to sweepstakes, giveaways, and free game keys.
Wow! Exactly.
Want more? Head to IGN.com/plus and start your adventure today.
You're watching IGN's coverage of Gamescom 2026. 30 years ago, a little game called Tomb Raider made its debut and changed the world of gaming forever. And with the upcoming remake, Tomb Raider Legacy of Atlantis, you get to experience it again like never before. Here to break it all down for me is game director Raul Cicada and art director Arek Tomaszewski. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having us.
So we're going to jump right into it here. You've got a really long gameplay demo here of Lara exploring Peru, doing a lot of puzzle solving and exploration, and it all culminates with the very iconic T-Rex encounter, which we're going to jump right into right here. So we make sure we don't miss out on this. So this is a really iconic scene from the original game here. It's a remake though, so you want to add in some like new bells and whistles. But is there any pressure to not overdo it too much?
Go for it.
The pressure was there definitely, but it was a good way of good side of pressure, and it was not. We don't do remake. We are doing reimagination. So we're adding our own flavor to what was done before. And in the T-Rex situation, for example, we kept the color palette that the guy had 30 years ago, but we added the red feathers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think from a gameplay perspective too, it's important to note out the difference between the T-Rex encounter, as iconic as it was in 1996. We knew we wanted to do something different with it. So echoing back to some of the roots for the Survivor games, where we got really good at getting Lara to be chased by a bear, chased by an avalanche. It felt very natural from the get-go to go hey, that would be a really cool cinematic moment that we can get to do more screen time, make sure that the T-Rex is celebrated, and then there's just more content for players.
Yeah. And speaking of it being cinematic, it feels almost like a full circle moment because Uncharted was inspired by Tomb Raider, and now this seems the cinematic presentation seems very Uncharted. Is that fair?
Well, I think we look at it more of the roots of where Tomb Raider has gone to, right? I think the Survivor trilogy, we started implementing some of the more cinematic nature to it. Like I mentioned earlier, the avalanche, the bear, the tsunami in Shadow. We've gotten into a point where Lara's gotten really good at escaping from things, and it's part of the DNA. So although it's a new modern take on it, we knew that when we were coming back to the classics and we were looking at the stuff that we've done recently, that balance between what is new and what is old was important to keep. And so it felt very natural for us to kind of continue that trend moving forward.
I think one of the first things you notice when you see this is an absolutely gorgeous game.
Yeah,
that's something you've really accomplished there, even with shadows and then the reflections that you can see on the water in here. Can you speak to the art design and what you sort of set out to accomplish?
I mean, we're trying to recreate the memories that people had in 1996, right? So we want to bring the modern technology and just push the graphics as much as we can, but we want to stay authentic to the places we are discovering, because Lara is archaeologist. So the way we're building, in this example, Peru, we're trying to stay true to the Incan architecture and the plantations and everything that people would see in that place. On the technology side, yes, we're trying to push it as much as we can, just because in the 1996, it was beautiful, right? The way we remember is awesome. But now we need to push ourselves to create the same feeling for people, and that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah. We just saw Lara use some kind of a scanning device. Tell us about that.
A scanner is a new inventory item that Lara has for Legacy of Atlantis. It allows you to do two things. First of them is for you to opt into helping you solving puzzles. So several objects in the environment will either give you hints of where you need to go or how you want to maneuver the space. And a secondary function to it, it allows you to give a little bit more information about the lore or about the world within. We separate the two of them, so if you're the type of player that wants to explore at your own pace and you don't want specifically hints on how to solve a puzzle, you can completely ignore it and not engage with it. And the objects in the world that are marked for puzzles have a different coloration than the objects in the worlds that are marked for lore or world building.
I have to call out one of my favorite parts of this demo just happened when she falls down into the water and does that context-sensitive animation of just sort of a pencil dive.
Yeah.
That looks so cool.
Thank
you. How are you sort of thinking about adding in those little touches while you're just designing the game?
I mean, we want to recreate those little moments when people just enjoy themselves when they play in the game, and in this example is one of them, but there's many more, and we have different animations of jumping to the water as well, from a different height. So it's depending from what height you are jumping, there's a different animation to Lara. And we have a lot of those little details within the game.
Yeah, the way that Lara moves is very important for us. Yeah. So we always wanted to know that beyond the acrobatics and the different flourishes that she can do, we wanted to make sure that that was represented and it felt very natural, both for you to watch as a player, but also so that you can perform when you're on the sticks. So you can do the handstands, you can do the acrobatics, all the stuff that became very classic from 1996. We wanted to bring it back and put it in its best light.
You had mentioned the Survivor trilogy earlier. Is her pickaxe tool, is that something that you brought over from in those games?
Yes, obviously it's not as present as it was in the Survivor one, but we were always finding interesting ways of using it. Obviously we saw her use to break one of the walls. There's a couple of other interactions here and there throughout the game that you might recognize it. But it was important to us to make sure that things that have been done in the previous games were celebrated. I think we said that a couple of times, but we want players to know that this is the same Lara that was in the Survivor trilogy, and it's all part of the same connected universe. So if she had an axe back then, it makes sense that she still has an axe.
Yeah. She also has this grapple tool.
Yes.
What's the name for that? And can you just talk about that?
Oh, well, it's the grapple cuff.
Okay.
Yeah,
grapple
because
cuff.
it's on her cuff. But yes, so
like
grapple is one of those things that allows us for several different things. In interacting with the environment, like moving around the cog puzzles is a good example of it. But it's also a great traversal tool. So you can use it to swing through certain parts of the game to reach ledges and places that you couldn't before. And one of my personal favorites, you can use it to rappel. So you can anchor to a point and go up and down in several different ledges, which allows us to get a lot more freedom in how you explore the environments. A lot of these levels are very vertical based, so having a bunch of different ways for players to navigate was very important for us.
Does she have these tools at the start of the game?
Yes.
Okay, interesting. I think you've spoken about how you've tried to update some of the puzzles to make them make a little bit more sense in the context of the world, rather than just, you exploring this ancient tomb and, oh, there's this strange machine here. But are there any puzzles from the original game that you've just left completely intact?
We did not, because it's our imagination. So we want it to be believable. So like with the cog puzzle in this case, we created the whole ceremony and the whole narrative part about why this cog system is in there. So it makes sense. And we are keeping as many puzzles as we can to be respectful to the original one, but we want them to put them in a modern concept. So people who understand, we don't just put them for the game's sake, we're putting them because that would make sense. And when you are seeing them, you feel like you're discovering something new.
We saw that big T-Rex fight at the beginning of this segment. There's also some lesser dinosaurs, maybe they're velociraptors that
are velociraptors
coming up. So we get to see some of the combat. So we can talk to some of the combat. I think you've added a dodge move.
Yes, there is a way for you to dodge. It is directly tied to your acrobatics. Again, kind of back to Lara's ability to move around the space in a way that only she can do it. It was important for us that form met factor in that regard. It was really cool in 1996 when we were able to do the acrobatics and do the handstands. But when you try to approach it from a modern perspective, you might think like, well, if you're doing that, that's technically slower, maybe it will influence in combat, so how do we balance the two? So her acrobatics give you an opportunity to give distance, also gives you a couple of iframes so you don't get damage, and then there are other ways that you can navigate around.
We see a very sparse UI here, but I think, have you also said it's possible to just turn it all off?
Yes, there is an option in the accessibility menu to play without UI.
Yeah, for a little bit more.
If you want the full immersed experience, we are always talking about like it was important for the development team that we let you play the game the way that you want to play it. Yep. So if you're the type of, you only want to do dual pistols, you don't want to interact with a lot of our systems, and you want to go no UI for maximum amount of difficulty, go for it. I am excited to see people play it.
Yeah, and we had a conversation today with the guy who basically, he wants to play without the scanner, he wants to find the ledges and everything himself, and we have ability to do that as well.
Yeah.
As people have been seeing this gameplay presentation here at Gamescom, I've seen a lot of comments about her ponytail.
Yes.
That's something you spent time on to get right?
Yeah.
No, it's just the time passed. So, that the hair grew, and it's been 3 months, so...
Yeah, we showed it in June in Summer Game Fest. Hair usually grows every 2 months, right? So now we're back at the long braid. Yeah, that's just how it works.
It's just realistic.
Yeah.
She is very acrobatic, especially in combat. She can start jumping and flipping around. So, is there a lock-on mechanic?
There currently is no lock-on mechanic, no, and that is by design. Combat in Legacy of Atlantis is meant to be faster and fluid. We want you to be able to move around and hunt your enemies, not stand still. We talk a lot about how this isn't a cover shooter, this is more acrobatic, because that is what Lara Croft is. So we wanted to celebrate that. So there are a couple of slightly design decisions that we shied away from it because we felt like it didn't really fit that goal of acrobatic movement.
Yeah. I think a lot of her flourishes are much more cinematic now because of this focus feature, right? She has this focus ability.
Yeah.
Can you speak to that?
Mode. Yeah, absolutely. So when you're playing the game and you're in combat, certain actions in combat reward you with focus points. When you build enough of your focus meter, you can activate focus mode, which slows down time and allows you to land a precision shot.
You mentioned that the puzzle is completely redone. Is there any of the original dialogue from the game in here?
In here in Peru? In here
or just in the game?
We have few lines that we maintain from the original one, but the whole script's been rewritten and all the lines been rewritten. So if they are in the game, it's just because we chose them to. Okay. And we have a few hints here and there for fans to find, but in general, the whole script's been rewritten. re-record it with the new actress.
Yeah. What would you say this the thing you're you don't want no spoilers, but are there we saw the T-Rex here. Are there other key moments in the game that you're really excited for people to experience again?
So many of them. Yeah. We are actually showing some new footage, some new areas here at Gamescom this week behind closed doors. It will be available to the public next week, and I am very excited for them to see what that is.
Yeah. What was your first experience with Tomb Raider?
My first experience with Tomb Raider, it's funny, someone else asked me that question today. I was walking from home to swimming lessons, which is a thing that we do in Brazil, and my brother and I, we didn't have a PlayStation back at the time, but the receptionist for the swimming club that we were in, she used to play video games as opposed to, paying attention to the reception. One day we were walking in, and Lord and behold, she's playing Tomb Raider.
Oh, wow.
We skipped swimming that day,
Nice.
and we just watched her play for like about an hour.
Nice. All right, how about you?
Well, I remember playing with my cousin when I was 7 years old. So we had just one PC and we had to keep swapping places. So whoever died, the next guy was playing.
Yep.
But unfortunately, he lied to me and he finished the game on his own.
What?
Yeah.
Bad friend. I'm very excited for Tomb Raider: Legacy of Atlantis. It's out February 12th.
February 12th, 2027.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Thank you so much for coming by.
Thanks for having us.
Tomb Raider: Legacy of Atlantis comes to consoles and PC again in February next year. We've got lots more Gamescom Studio coming up, so stick around.
Hello and welcome back to the Spotlight stage. I'm Jane. I'm joined here by Marshall and Eli for Rainbow Six Tactics. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Now, it's the first single-player Rainbow Six game for quite some time, since 2008, I think, since Vegas 2. Now, the fans of Rainbow Six have been, I think, waiting on a single-player game for quite some time, but they may not have been anticipating Tactics, a game quite like this. Why this genre? What made you go for this?
We love tactical game. It's also our expertise. We love the Rainbow Six franchise, and we work on Clancy titles since a long time. So matching the two together was making sense for us, and we hope for players as well.
Okay. As I understand it, you're playing as Paul Bishop himself. Where does this game fit, in the lore, in the story of Rainbow Six Siege and the Rainbow Six universe?
So Rainbow Six Tactics is part of the narration and global narrative of Rainbow Six Siege. The specific event we are digging into are the one between the year 10 and 11. It's basically just after the destruction of Area 4, the HQ of Rainbow. And Bishop, the beloved character from Vegas 2, will be
Six himself.
Exactly. We need a new Six, and it was a great candidate to tackle this challenge to rebuild Rainbow, to tackle, in fact, strong challenges.
How are you approaching turn-based tactics for this game? Are you looking at classic turn-based games, or are you starting from scratch trying to do something very new with the genre?
No, we've been really faithful, in fact, to what the genre is about, respecting the code. Having tactical phases in missions where you send operators in high-stake operations all around the world with hit chances, critical chances, line of sight, cover, so really the vocabulary of tacticals. The same for the strategic part, you have to rebuild the effort, your command center. So those we really respected, but coming from Rainbow, we also bring the sheer DNA of what a Rainbow is about, so bringing destruction, bringing the recon, with drones, using drones to find your targets where sometimes hidden behind corners. The breach, definitely, so bringing what we feel were unique coming from the Rainbow DNA.
What can you tell us about the breach planning feature? Sure. You're going to set everyone up and then kind of synchronize a kind of movement?
It's very critical in the counter-terrorism fantasy, So us, what we want is to give this thrill of facing a place, you don't know what is behind, enemies are retrenched, they are overpowering you because they are more numerous, they are using Overwatch, looking at doors, looking at windows, setting booby traps. So you need to find ways to first find them using the recon and then find a plan. So set up a plan to synchronize all your guys all together and be able to, let's say, shift the tide, overpower them using your gadgets, using destruction, leveraging the destruction, and leveraging all the skills of your unique operators to really take the advantage before the turn-based phase starts.
Okay. So if you go in without proper preparation,
it can
Gonna be
really
bad
backfire.
times.
Exactly, it can backfire. So it's really cool because when you really plan properly, everything happens very cinematically.
Yes.
It's fantastic, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And sometimes you didn't notice someone who was hidden behind a pillar. Sometimes you didn't notice a claymore mine or a trap.
Yeah.
And then you look at your plan and everything falls and you have to readjust, which is the fun part of tactical games.
Absolutely. I love it when a plan comes together. What can you tell us about the mission types in the game?
Yes, so we are really in the counter-terrorism fantasy, in the Rainbow Six and Tom Clancy fantasy. So we have to, sometimes you have to liberate hostages, sometimes you have to arrest HVTs or they're bad guys. Sometimes you have to defuse bombs, so it's really all the tropes, that comes with, from this fantasy and that you will need to play. So you have to think carefully when you prepare before starting the mission. Who would you send? Which operators would make the most sense to complete the missions.
And what can you tell us? Can you speak on like the map types, like the kind of settings we're going to be playing in?
We have almost 50 locations.
Yeah.
Each unique and crafted, taking place in real location, common location and public location all over the world.
Yeah.
So you might expect a strong variety and craft on all the missions.
All right. You mentioned like choosing the right operators to go in for your team. You've got, I think, 15. Is it 15 from
yes.
Siege?
Yes.
How did you go about choosing from like the much larger roster of Siege?
Really fit with the core gameplay, the core loop. So we really wanted to have unique operators that fit one specific role. So we have guys with the shield who will be in charge of taking down overwatches. Some who will be in charge of more supporting operators. Some will be like empowering operators. Some will be about marksman, taking down hostiles from long distance. It was really about being unique, being like synergizing very well with the other operators, as well as countering the different archetypes. The second criteria was community favorites. For us, it was impossible to not have Sledge, to not have Ash.
Sure.
We have some of the operators who were like the must-haves.
Okay, so with like an eye on some of the operators that people are just really going to want to see in the game.
Exactly.
Okay. How was it adapting these operators, from a different genre into tactics? Like, could you adapt them like for like, or did they have to be changed quite a bit?
It depends on the operators. Most of the operators, it was really about capturing the essence of the operators, creating a unique progression tree for those operators. But it was quite simple, in fact, to adjust them. For other operators, we really wanted to stretch them a bit more with our playstyle or gameplay. So, for example, Doc is much more inclined to heal people, to support other operators than in Siege. For Nock, we really wanted to stretch our stealth capacities to really give the opportunity for the players to play differently. For Sledge, we wanted to turn his playstyles around Sledgehammer. So definitely he's a bit less about shooting and more about smashing. Voilà. So sometimes we took a bit of freedom to really capture, I think, more the essence of what the player would expect in our game and the genre.
Speaking of Sledge, what can you tell us about like destructibility, about destruction that we're familiar with from Siege? How are you applying that to tactics?
For us, it was really, I think, the first feature we prototyped at the really beginning of the game when we were a very small team. It was like what excited the most about building this game. So we wanted to make sure that every cover was destroyable, every wall was destroyable, so it will change the way you approach covering and flanking. When you play in tactical, most of the time the dilemma is about where to go to find the good line of sight but remaining protected. It's absolutely not the case in our game because every cover where enemies are located can be blown. Every enemy who is retrenched behind the wall and using Overwatch to protect himself, in fact, can be flanked because you can create new passage, you can create new line of like line of sight by blowing holes. But what is fun in our game is that it goes in both ways. So sometimes you are protecting yourself using Overwatch. You feel that you are defended. And then you see a Rocketeer arriving or someone with grenade launchers and you are like, oh shit, that won't go well.
Nowhere is that safe,
Okay.
basically. So you've got your 15 operators to choose from. My assumption is that we're not going to be having like XCOM style permadeath because you've only got 15 operators and we love those operators. They can't go away. So how does it work if someone gets like kind of taken out in action?
Actually, so we have permadeath.
Oh.
It's not an option that is here by default.
Yeah.
But you can activate the permadeath. Don't worry, we never kill operators. So they are injured, the operation, it takes place in few weeks.
Okay.
So now they are badly injured, they will not come back for the rest of your campaign.
Oh,
so they are not dead. But yes, you can experience the thrill of losing your favorite operators that you will level up. So you will have to find other ways. And once more, it's part of what is fun in tacticals. It's you have a plan, everything doesn't go as you planned and you have to readapt, you have to rethink your strategy. Sometimes it's about replacing Ash with someone else.
Not Ash. I love that. That's so like high stakes.
Yeah.
That's very, very exciting. Okay, cool. The reveal trailer that we saw just recently has like a very cinematic kind of narrative like aspect to it. Is that something that is that just for the trailer or are you going deep with like kind of story and cinematic or tactics?
It's definitely a major pillar of the experience that we will deliver. We spend a lot of time and effort to try to depict what it is to feel a 6 in a Rainbow Organization. It's tough to be 6. It's busy and tense days. You have many decisions to take, and it's not easy decision to take. So conveying, in fact, this tension, this dilemma as 6, working with the staff was a huge focus for us. Apart from that, I won't go to detail specific, but you might expect crisis to solve all around the world, decision to make, dilemma. So that's what it is from Rainbow. In fact, Rainbow are a unique member. Anyone cannot be a member of Rainbow.
Okay.
It's a special touch, so we hope we'll convey with strong narrative support all these elements.
Okay, very cool. Well, we're nearly out of time. I will ask because I know that our audience will be interested. I believe you've told IGN that there's not going to be an in-game store monetization of that kind. Is that correct?
Not at all. No microtransaction, no in-game store, but also no season pass, no battle pass whatsoever. There is no DLC planned for the moment. We are fully focused on finalizing the game and deliver a complete, full, enjoyable and great game.
Okay.
But we are considering modding support.
Okay, fantastic. When can we expect to get our hands on the game?
In 2027.
In 2027. Okay. Marshall, Eli, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
This has been Rainbow Six Tactics. I've been Jane, and this has been the Gamescom Spotlight stage. Come on back for more.
Do you want to be the very best like no one ever was? Streamline your journey to becoming a master trainer with Planet Pokemon. Choose your Pokemon, filtering by type, stats, or game availability. Then use the full team builder to assemble an unbeatable lineup. Plan out the optimal set of moves, items, and abilities. Plan your dream team today at planetpokemon.com.
Catch up on all your favorite shows with up-to-the-minute gaming and entertainment news with Geek Media Podcasts.
Welcome to a very special episode of IGN GameScoop.
GameScoop has you covered for all things gaming and the latest game releases. Tune into Podcast Beyond for the biggest PlayStation news.
Man, this is a cool-looking trailer.
Everything Xbox on Podcasts Unlocked.
This is Steve Downs, the voice of Master Chief.
Catch up with your Super Nintendos on Nintendo Voice Chat.
Let the kids love what we love.
And get all the latest console news and rumors with Next Gen Console Watch.
Now Xbox and Phil Spencer are even saying that a mid-gen refresh isn't even necessary.
The Cinefix Top 100 podcast picks a movie every week to celebrate and debate.
It's kind of every movie's grandpa.
Geek Media Podcasts, the best podcasts from around the world.
Can't find that final collectible you're missing? IGN strategy guides and interactive maps are here to help.
One step at a time.
IGN guides are trusted by millions, easy to use, and best of all, free. You can even track your progress with interactive checklists so you know you reached that 100% completion.
I will not suffer.
IGN has the very best, most complete and accurate guides for Shadow of the Erdtree, Baldur's Gate 3, Tears of the Kingdom, and so much more. Just search for IGN when you search for guides.
I'm here on the Gamescom show floor with Michael Hyam. We're just outside the Xbox booth, and you've just played a little bit of State of Decay 3. How was it?
State of Decay 3 is real. You know, there's a lot of conversation about the state of the game.
Yeah.
But I got hands-on with it, played a bunch of combat, got to see a lot of the new gameplay systems in place for it. And I am impressed considering that what I played was an alpha build. It's a very early build of the game, but the thing that stood out to me most with my hands-on time with it is that the gunplay is a lot punchier. It feels like a proper third-person shooter. You know, you think of State of Decay, it's focusing on the survival elements, the community building stuff. All of that is still there for sure, but it feels like it plays like a proper third-person action game now. There's a lot more smoother movement, a lot more options when it comes to combat, and just the guns are a lot punchier. And I think that is one thing that is going to help separate it from the previous State of Decays. So I'm very happy to report that this game plays really well.
So, in contrast to the first couple of games, did you get an impression of how sort of systems-driven versus story-driven this one is? Because there is a real difference between the first two in that regard, right?
Yeah, this one is an evolution of two, I would say, and we got to see a lot of how the community systems have changed a lot.
Yeah.
You know, for example, when you build a facility, instead of upgrading it level 1, 2, and 3, there's different branches in which you can upgrade the facility itself. And they've also expanded a lot of the procedurally generated characters in your communities.
Wow,
they have a lot more traits that really change how they function.
Yeah.
And they also have specific behaviors in their specific encampments too. So, for example, there was a character in my community who took up more water resources, so I would have to gather more water to sustain my community because he takes long showers. Well, that's just one of his traits.
I was gonna say, I was thinking is he diabetic or?
You know, there could be things like that, especially with how intricate these systems are and how wide-ranging they are. These are randomized traits that affect their stats and just the way they change what you have to worry about within your communities. And because in State of Decay you can swap between controlling all the different characters, some are really good with sniper rifles, so they'll get extra damage when you get headshots with a long-range weapon, or some might take injuries a lot easier, so if you get hit, your health bar will be they'll block out your health bar a lot more if they get hit. So it's all these little intricacies that make each of these procedurally generated characters feel distinct, and they kind of add a little bit more dynamism to the things you have to worry about in State of Decay. Because at the end of the day, it's all about managing communities, managing people. And so, unfortunately, the reality with that is that everyone's going to have different needs and going to have different quirks. And that's all built in to the game on a systems level. At the end of the day, though, it is very much about resource management. So, water, food supplies, health supplies, and the way you build your communities and the characters you put in place in terms of responsibilities can also affect things like how fast injured characters can recover. So that's a microcosm of how they're thinking about State of Decay 3, where these systems are all familiar, that you remember from 1 and 2, but they are built in a way that is a lot more detailed. Now, one of the things that you might be concerned about is, are they doing too much? Is it going to be too much to manage? And I think what they've told me is that their approach is if you want to worry about that stuff, if you want to get into the details, into the weeds of those things, you will reap the benefits from it, but you don't have to always engage with it on that level.
Just focusing a little on the combat more, because you've talked about how it's improved from the first two. What's the sort of minute-to-minute combat like?
Yeah, that's so the way this game is built, open world, big map, and the focus is on infestation networks. So there are points in the map that have zombie infestations, and they branch off into different parts of the map, and your job is to cut them off at the head. So
Okay.
yeah, you go to like specific locations where you have to fight waves of zombies, and there's like, you go into like, say a town has been infested. You have to like kill off 4 points of infestation, and then you will unlock the heart of that infestation site, and then you got to destroy it. But at the same time, you know, I'm in there with 3 other players, and you're fending off waves of zombies, and you still have bloaters, you have juggernauts at the same time, and you're also trying to kill off these points of contact in those sites. So it's very chaotic, and it can get out of hand really fast. And there's like a lot of points of interest in between those infestation sites. And we saw a little bit about how players can approach this from different perspectives. You know, for us, this is a short demo, so we went in guns blazing. We're just like, you know, we got like drum mags on our AKs, and we're just like mowing down zombies, hoping that we can survive.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of things in the environment where you can like cause oil spills, you can lure out zombies.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's like flammable, so you can get a horde of zombies into one area,
Yeah.
light them all up with a bomb, and take care of them that way. There are a lot more stealth options as well. You know, you have silenced weapons. I think the stealth mechanics have been improved a little bit from the small bit that I saw.
That's awesome, because I wouldn't really associate the first 2 games with stealth at all, really. It was there, but it wasn't a huge sort of consideration, really.
Yeah.
And I know that like 20-minute Gamescom demo, there's very little time for nuance.
For sure.
But one thing that isn't subject to nuance, really, the size of the map, it feels like the design of the game that you're talking about feels like it lends itself to a massive map, right?
Yes.
So, did you get a sense of the scale of the thing?
Man, so I was able to like open the map and see the limited part that I saw, but it feels like a very big world. Don't know exactly how big it is, but the way that they have structured the game, as I mentioned, with like the infestation networks, it seems like really widespreading, and this is something that you'll have to manage as the game goes on. They said that like if you clear an infestation site, eventually it can come back if you're not careful about how you build your communities. So I get the impression that it is going to be pretty wide-ranging for, you know, it's not going to be a forever game, but it is a game that you're going to want to continually come back to, play with other players. So I think that I'm getting the impression that it's going to be perhaps bigger than State of Decay 2, and with a lot more dynamic systems in place to like keep that map interesting. Because that's the number one thing. Like, the game could be as big as it wants to be, but it's what you do with that, and how dynamic and how much things change as the game goes on. Of course, again, an alpha build, you're not going to get a full sense of that, but I think they have systems and mechanics in place that will make a bigger open world more interesting to play in.
Cool. And lastly, Undead Labs. Haven't heard much from them since State of Decay 2, really. That studio's gone through a lot of upheaval.
Yep.
Some things we know about, some things we don't. I'm getting the sense from you that this is like a really big step up from them.
Yeah, and it's it feels like a next generation State of Decay, or I would say a current gen State of Decay, right? The previous games were pretty janky, but that's like the nature of them, right? The survival games have that sort of edge to them. Even though this was an alpha build, it feels like they understand all the things that matter in a State of Decay game, and they seem like they're playing really well within that space. And you know, despite all of the sort of turmoil for a lot of studios under the Xbox banner, or who were under the Xbox banner, you know, as of right now, as having this conversation, it's still kind of up in the air who their new owners are going to be, when that sale is going to be finalized. So I can imagine, like, in the middle of making this big game that you've been working on for a long time, you're worried about the fate of your studio. So it's really nice to see that, like, oh yeah, they have a tangible game that functions really well with a good, strong identity, something that a lot of people have been looking forward to for a long time.
People love State of Decay.
Yeah.
I remember the first one, and I remember it remastered on the Xbox One, and everyone came back to it. It's like, it's one of these things, you don't think about it all the time, but when it does come back, everyone's there. So,
and so it's good to see that it seems like they're on track for this. There is a beta that's going to be up towards the end of the year, and they're still looking at a 2027 release date. And if they could pull it off, it would be a really good story to come out of the games industry, especially at a time when there's just, you know, a lot of studio closures and successes and failures. But it seems like for now, Undead Labs is on track, and I can't wait to see more of State of Decay 3.
Of course, like the oncoming horde, there's so much more to cover at Gamescom. Stick with us on IGN.
That just about wraps up day 2 of Gamescom Studio 2026, but believe it or not, we're just getting started here.
Tomorrow is the Gamescom Awards Show, celebrating the best and most innovative games here at the show. Each year, it's an honor to award game developers from all over the world, along with the games they're creating, so we hope you'll join us.
And tomorrow we'll also have even more deep dives and trailers from the biggest upcoming and ongoing games. And if you missed any of our Gamescom coverage, you can find all of it on IGN.
Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you all back here tomorrow.
IGN's coverage of Gamescom 2026 is presented by Fable.